together, because I think it's fun. We always think about new things that we can maybe change, that maybe can make a difference. Like, I am so glad Amber and I had the idea with the petition that was going on, and I know maybe it will not work out because not people will sign it, but maybe they will. I think when we reach, I think 1,000 signatures, I will use this petition and go with it to Universal and say, hey, a lot of people really would appreciate a day where only autistic or AAP people are in the parks. So Universal could just turn down the music, the volume, the effects, the smells, for an example, and slow down the boarding procedures as well, so that everyone who is affected in any kind will have an easier day in the parks. And on top of it, I think if the park is only opening for a few hours for people on the AAP, a lot less staring would happen. I know it sounds crazy, but I can only talk for me, but I just hate the staring that is going on sometimes in the theme parks. And on top of it, the comments. They are, in my opinion, just the worst. The comments, you don't look disabled, why are you slowing down the process? She can clearly board the system. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I can clearly board. But what if I slip? Because this is something I can only, again, talk to me. I always pressure myself during the boarding procedure, like, hey, I want to be quick because I know the cast members needs to reach a certain point in efficiency. And yeah, this is something that is stupid, in my opinion. That is stupid that they need to reach it, because I understand it, because they want and need to be as efficient as possible. Let's try think something out, because I think the quality is not good enough. Let's use this camera instead. The back camera, I will have a look. Maybe the quality is now a little bit better, because I think, on the other hand, it might be the internet connect. Let's see. Let's hope and see. I'm so sorry. I think now the quality. Now the quality of everything looks better. Now we can start with a live stream, because I just hate it when the quality of my cameras is as bad as it was. Maybe it's because I use my own data volume now in my Wi-Fi, and yeah, you can clearly see a difference, and this is what I was looking for. So yeah, again, let's go back to the boarding procedure, because I definitely pressure myself every time of being as fast as possible in and of the attraction. Most of the time I would still be the last person to leave, but yeah, especially in Mario Kart, I mean, it's crazy, but at Mario Kart I experience the most issues, because the white vehicle is so far down, and getting up at Mario Kart, for some reason, I don't know why, is just really difficult for me. And have a day, again, only a few hours, maybe half a day each year for people on the AAP, for people like us, who just need a little bit more time to board those vehicles, would be awesome. It would help a lot, and I got a lot of feedback from you guys that it would be also really appreciated by you. I didn't have the time yet, but I really want to send this petition to Make-A-Wish as well, because in my opinion, Make-A-Wish is a really good company. I worked as a volunteer here in Germany for them, but yeah, here in Germany it was a little bit, it was not what I was looking for doing voluntarily work. I mean, it was great and we had a great time, but yeah, we were way too less volunteers, and we needed to cover the whole of Germany. And because Make-A-Wish is not that popular and well known here in Germany, we had the problem of finding actual children to help out with Make-A-Wish. So yeah, this was the reason why I was at one point like, I don't want to waste my time. Sounds so harsh, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. So, but I think it's still a good company, and especially I know the influence they have in the States, especially in the Kissimmee area. They have the Make-A-Wish village. Maybe, I think in November I will not have any time for stuff like that, but in March maybe I am planning on visiting the Make-A-Wish village, because it's such a beautiful location. I was there once during my volunteer time, and Make-A-Wish village is something special. Maybe, as I said, I have so many stuff planned in November. Maybe, I don't know when their Christmas fundraiser events and stuff like that is happening. If those are happening when I am there, I am definitely considering going for one evening to the Make-A-Wish village, film a little bit, because I think it's a beautiful organization and you can really make a difference. And maybe you didn't know it. If you have something left over from your trip when you are going to Orlando, the Make-A-Wish village can use nearly everything. If you have water or bottles, too much water bottles and stuff like that, and if you really want to donate maybe $1 or $2, I would always recommend going to the Make-A-Wish village, because they make a difference in the life of those children. Before I started to become a volunteer, and again, I can only speak for the organization from a German standpoint of view, here in Germany, every child who needed special needs was accepted, because the approach was, even if there was a boy that is severe autistic, a day without the pressure, without facing his disability the whole day long, makes a difference, not only for the kid, not only for the children, even for the family attached to it. So this is why Make-A-Wish here in Germany at least is accepting nearly every kid that was applying. Yeah, you still need to have a mental illness or a terminal illness or stuff like that, but most of the time they made most of it possible. And sometimes we had strange wishes, but most of the time we were able to fulfill all the wishes of the kids, and I think this is a good thing. So I'm thinking about sending exactly that to Make-A-Wish, to tell Make-A-Wish, hey, maybe you have families that will benefit from it, maybe families that visit the village in the past that would benefit from a day at Universal when they are opening it up, the parks, just for people on the AAP. So this is the reason why I thought just approaching Make-A-Wish is a good way of starting to get more signatures, and then the next one would be Special Olympics. I was a Special Olympics coach for a long time. I absolutely loved my job. I would definitely do it. I wanted to do it on a voluntary base, but the funding was gone, and doing it completely voluntary, then there would have been an insurance issue. If something had happened to me or one of these athletes, no one would be able to cover the incident. So this is the reason why I am not a Special Olympics coach anymore. And again, this job was so close to my heart. I mean, it was only 2 days a week. It was just a small side hustle, but I, at the end, was really emotionally attached to those kids and those athletes. It was just fine. I mean, it was really challenging, don't get me wrong. I had sometimes groups with 14 people in one location. I had one girl that was helping me, that was just volunteering there. She was not qualified in giving courses or stuff like that. That only I was qualified with my CrossFit and fitness license. So she was only allowed to help out. She was not allowed to teach something or do the course. I let her do a lot of stuff, so I was like, hey, do you want to learn how to set up a group and stuff like that? So I took her and made possible she learned as much as possible, and I tried to give her a lot of own decision making. So I think she had just finished school, and I was like, if you really want to work in this profession, I want to make sure that you learn as much as possible, and I teach you as much as I can. Because the fun fact was, I was never qualified to work with kids with special needs. I am a Special Olympics. First time I heard about Special Olympics was during the Winter Special Olympics, because my ski jumping club was holding the Special Olympics winter sport games. Back in 2017, I think. It was before I became a ski jumping expert. So yeah, this was the first time I heard about the Special Olympics. And everyone involved in our ski jumping ski club, everyone who was attached to the Special Olympics, everyone was saying, hey, this was so much more fun than holding the World Cup in ski jumping. Yeah, the World Cup every year is a special event, it's fun, and I am obsessed with ski jumping. I love to work there. I would never ever quit. I am doing this now since 2018. I'm a ski jumping expert, and I will continue as long as humanly possible in this job. But yeah, the Special Olympics was such a fun experience for everyone. And then I think 2 years later, we held the Special Olympic German game. Was it German or was it the world? No, it was only the German games. The German games in my hometown here in Kiel. And this was, again, an event I really, really fell in love with. I was working with for the Special Olympics for the whole year, set up the event and be a volunteer during the event. And since then, I am attached to the Special Olympics. And then during COVID, they offered me the position as a coach, as an athlete, as a trainer. And because I have my CrossFit license and I have my fitness trainer license here in Germany, they were like, yeah, you're perfectly qualified to teach and work as a trainer for the Special Olympics if you feel confident enough to work with people and humans with special needs. And I'm like, yeah, we will figure it out. The fun fact was, we never figured it out. It was just like, this is your group, have fun, figure it out yourself. By the way, the girl that is with you has no idea at all, and she's not qualified at all to do anything. So you are the only person qualified. I'm sure the only thing is, please don't make one of them cry or die, and have a great time doing your workouts. And I was like, okay, we will figure it out. And yeah, I mean, one of the groups were pretty interesting. I had a few Down syndromes. I love them. They are so cute, the cutest. I love to work with them. I had a nonverbal, still one of those guys I really fell in love with. And someone where I was like, why is he even in my group? He had Asperger. He had the highest form of education. He was living on his own. He had a girlfriend. And why is he in my group? He can do everything. He can do every sports he wants. He can go play tennis. I don't know. He don't need to be in a group where we are trying to work on the basis like catching a ball. This is not his level. And he was nice. And again, he only had Asperger. You were able to communicate to him completely normal. And I was like, you are welcome. I like you. You are a nice, smart guy. But I would understand if you are saying this is not for me. Because he, again, had Asperger, no touching, not touching his stuff, nothing, or he would go insane. I mean, completely fine, but on the other side of the room, you had someone with Down syndrome, and he wanted to hug everyone. He was everyone's friend. And the only thing I needed to make sure in those kind of lessons were make sure those two people were as far away as possible the whole time. Because you don't want to have a Down syndrome person right next to someone with Asperger. Then you will not have nice 90 or 120 minutes. So yeah, this is why I am still attached to the Special Olympics, and I think it's a good way just to go to them and ask them, hey, I have this idea in starting a petition for Universal, and asking them if maybe they're considering opening the parks for everyone on the AAP, so they can turn the lights down, the music, the sound effects and stuff like that, the smells in ET, and give people with special needs more time for the boarding process. And again, I think we don't need to think only about sensory and autism and stuff like that. Even someone like me would benefit from such a day. Because as I said in the beginning, I have serious problems boarding Mario Kart. I don't know what it is with the white. I think maybe Hagrid's if I need to go in the side wagon. This would also be a problem. But Mario Kart, I just need my extra time. I don't know why. Going inside, it's fine, but maybe I'm just stupid as hell. I always need help to attach the screen in front to the helmet thing because I never get it done. Always need cast members' help for that. And I don't know what it is in just exiting the ride. I need help to stand up. I'm not able, maybe it's because it's so nearer to the ground. I'm not able to stand up on my own. And it's so embarrassing. Most of the time, I'm letting the cast member know as soon as I board. So they can inform the person that is on the unloading area that I need special help. So it's not taking so much time. Because I am pressuring myself so hard at Universal in being fast in the boarding process, because I know the cast members at the attractions need to be in certain amount of times. And they will get bonus and benefits when they are faster than they need to be. And I don't want to be the girl that is ruining all of their statistics for the day. So I am always pressuring myself, and I hesitate asking, hey, can you please stop maybe the boarding, the conveyor belt at Hagrid's or Frankenstein. You should never feel that. If you need it, if it makes you feel more secure boarding, you should always ask. But this is something I guess I am not comfortable yet to ask for, because this is another thing I think a lot of you guys can relate to. I don't feel disabled enough yet for using those kind of services. I mean, it's completely stupid because as an old cast member, I know safety is always the main priority. And calculating in my head, how can I be as fast as possible? And it's really stressing me, the boarding process. I love those roller coasters, but 5 minutes before the boarding process, I start stressing me to be as fast as possible. I mean, it's completely bonkers and stupid, but again, if Universal is maybe opening up a day or a few hours for people on the AAP, we can get the time without pressuring the cast members to be as fast and as efficient as possible. And I think a lot of people, especially with hidden disabilities, are exactly struggling with this thing. They are struggling with, I don't want to be slow during the boarding process. And again, I can't find a solution that would it make better or easier, because again, I talked a lot about capacity, and you need to figure it in or calculate it in. If you have a lot of people with special needs, the capacity of the ride for the hour will go down, because every extra second you need, it will be, it means less vehicles can go on the track in an hour. And so I think this is a massive problem. And I really hope when I'm going to IAPA, maybe to see solutions or maybe see engineering at least thinking about it. This would be really nice, just to see if they maybe come up with a solution and thinking about just, hey, yeah, we see the problem and we are working on it. I mean, I don't know how stuff like that would possible. I can only come up with an idea from if I need to be spontaneous. When you know you have AAP guests, that you always make sure that they are the first to board. So they get the most time to settle in the white and then the west and make their check last. So that you won't lose so much time if you have maybe two people with special needs. I know Universal, I have never an issue, never saw an issue. They will always stop the conveyor belt at the attractions if you ask them to, because again, it's a safety thing. They are definitely more willing to do and help you out than dealing with an emergency because you slip or stuff like that. But again, I feel always pressured to be as fast as possible, and I don't feel disabled enough to ask to slow the whole ride down. Because if you, let's talk Joshis. I mean, Disney attractions would be the same, Haunted Mansion, stuff like that. You know exactly when someone with special needs is boarding Joshis when you are on the ride. And I can't remember doing one round in Joshis without someone boarding, because you will have the ride will completely stop, and then you have the announcement, hey, Joshi has, they had a cute little phrase, I can't remember, but you will stop. And you will stop for quite a bit until this person has to get boarded and everything is safe and secured. And sometimes I even experienced it twice during Joshis. And when you compare it, how much time you will lose just for this boarding process, time that was not calculated into the waiting time. This is, I mean, I only recently looking into all of that stuff because I'm going to the IAPA, and I was not realizing how much thinking and how much of those kind of stuff is going into calculating the waiting times. And they need to calculate in the waiting times of all the AAPs that applied, because at Disney, I think for them it's a little bit easier. At Disney, you only have a time frame where you can return for the DAS, and you can only do one attraction once a day. So it's a little bit easier just to calculate the needs. So because 15 minutes and you know, okay, this amount of people will come in this period of time, and those people will maybe need extra time, and they will definitely add up on the capacity. I don't know for sure yet how they calculate in those express passes, because they can show up whenever they want. I don't know how the calculation is working. I know for a fact when you are using the express pass line, they will also give you those time measurement lanyards. I had them a couple of times in Hagrid's. So at Hagrid's, it was the situation that AAP and Express Pass was completely isolated from the normal line. It's not anymore. They got rid of the Express Pass. I don't know if they got rid of the AAP as well as Hagrid, but they had separate boarding areas. But at the normal attractions, there you have the problem, because the AAP and Express Passes will at some point merge the normal lines. I saw it a lot of times because when you think about it, the time measurement can never be perfect. Because most of the time when you get one of those time measuring lanyards in a normal line, you will give it to the cast member at the merging points in front of the lockers, for an example, Velocicoaster or Stardust Racer. This is the point where you will give or hand out back the time measuring thing. And from this point on, I mean, at least at Stardust Racer, it will still take you 10 to 15 minutes at least until you ride. So I don't know if they will add out on automatically this 10 to 15 minutes or how they calculate stuff like that. because, yeah, I mean, a lot of theoretically thinking, but I think it's quite interesting how AAP can affect the ride capacity. And this is a thing a lot of people are not thinking about. And again, at Disney, you only have a time frame. Let it be a half an hour. It's too long ago that I did use the DAS. But at Universal, it's like, okay, you have your return time. As long as you're not leaving the park, you can come back whenever you want to this attraction. I think for people like me, it's definitely the better system, because if you are maybe in the middle of a show or a restaurant or eating on the restroom, you don't need to pressure yourself. You can go whenever you want and ride the attraction. Because I had, during COVID, a similar system they had at Europa Park. They had a virtual line. It was not an accessibility system. They don't have something like this here in Germany. It was a virtual line for their high demand coaster. And I was like, yeah, I really want to ride it. And I got a return time 2 hours later. And I was like, oh, that's good. The wood roller coaster has only 1 hour waiting time. So I went into the wood roller coaster line and the waiting line, and there was no breakdown, not maintenance, nothing going on. Took me 2 hours just to wait in their line. So my time expired by 5 minutes, and they were like, no, we are not letting you ride this attraction now anymore. And I'm like, you clearly have calculated the wrong return times, or the wrong times at the attractions. And yeah, why am I not allowed to ride another attraction? And yeah, they were just like, no, you can't enter the line anymore. I mean, at Disney never had stuff like that happens. As long as you are, I think, into a 15 minutes frame, 15 minutes delayed or stuff like that, they will always let you in with the AAP, the DAS return time. But I think at Universal, for us guests, is definitely an easier system to use. For them to figure out the capacity problem, this system can only be a nightmare. And this is another thing I found so interested now that I'm diving deep into the APA stuff, that all of that calculation stuff, this capacity management and stuff like that, most of the time is something that is coming directly from the people, from the engineers, from the roller coaster. So most of the time Universal has no influence in it. I saw again at Stardust Racer that they are able to change things, and they can change it fast when something is happening. Like after the girl pushed me into the lockers at Stardust Racer and I got a whip crashed, I was telling Universal there were way too many people in front of the lockers, everyone is pushing, and the merging points for the AAP in front of the lockers is just not working. And the next time I was there a couple of days later, they only let a certain amount of people in front of the lockers. So no more pushing was going on in front of the lockers. So yeah, they figured it out. But again, after that, they definitely needed to recalculate all the waiting time stuff. And it's so complicated. And I think it's really hard to find a solution that will work for everyone involved. That can work for Universal, so they can calculate those waiting time more efficient. And again, I read a lot of people that are furious got rid of the Express Pass line. And again, I don't know what had happened to the AAP. My AAP will only get activated again when I am back at Universal, so I can't see in the Universal app if the AAP for Hagrid's is still possible. But if it is, they need a merge point. And I don't know where this merging point can be, because I think why Universal has decided to go this way, the waiting times at Hagrid's were always insane. A friend of mine told me now it's down to 60 minutes is the longest time you will see on Hagrid's. So they got the waiting time down a lot. Then I don't know for a fact why they did it. It was in my opinion, a stupid decision in the first place. they used their single riders only for the AAP and Express Pass line. So people were getting really, really mad because they saw, especially single riders, because they saw that there were vehicles going around with a lot of empty spaces. And yeah, this was frustrating for the people that were waiting in the single rider line, because they didn't know and didn't realize that they are in the AAP Express Pass line. So those lines, in those trains, you would never see an empty seat. But on the normal line, you had a lot of empty seats. So there was a lot of wasted capacity with single riders. I don't know why it wasn't possible to have two single rider lines and just let them merge at one point. Say you go to the left, to the right, so they could be more easier filling up all those empty spaces, but this was not happening. And again, I was not at Hagrid since then. I don't know where they start to separate now for the different lines. I can't see in my mind the mapping of the waiting area. But I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, Hagrid's is running for a couple of years now, and they made the decision now. And yeah, I can understand when people that are paying for express passes are furious, because let's be honest, at Velocicoaster you never had that bad of waiting times. Especially in the off seasons, I saw Velocicoaster almost never more than 90 minutes, because you still have a huge capacity in this ride. Then you have maybe Hulk that is benefiting from the Express Pass. Hulk, the same. It's not that it's not the coaster of islands anymore. So you will barely see more than 60, 70 minutes at Hulk. Spider-Man, yeah, okay, Spider-Man, it depends. In the morning, because everyone is after Warped Warp, after Early Park Admission, a lot of people are starting with the Marvel Superhero Landing. So in the mornings, Spider-Man can be quite busy. But I never saw ridiculous waiting times at Spider-Man. So again, nothing worth buying the Express Pass for anymore. And what attraction do you Cat with a Hat? Definitely not worth an Express Pass in my opinion, because I only saw it as a walk-in. Jurassic Park River Adventure, and we have a story. The last time I rode it was in 2015, and since then it was down for maintenance every time. Even when I'm going to Japan, I can guarantee you this ride is down for maintenance. I don't know why we hate each other that much, but can't talk about the waiting time for river adventures. But most of the time I was looking in the app, that was not that bad. Hogwarts Express, yes, you could definitely benefit from the Express Pass on a bed, especially during midday when people want to switch parks. But removing the Express Pass from Hagrid's, in my opinion, is making the Express Pass for islands really not that valuable anymore. I don't know if you have separate Express Passes for islands and studios, but if you have, what is the point in going for an Express Pass for island at this point anymore? Now that Hagrid's is gone. Again, Velocicoaster, never that bad. Hulk, never that bad. And then you don't have a Kong-style island. When you decide to go on the single rider, for an instance, never had a problem with the waiting time there. So I think people will now start to think if they really need an Express Pass. I don't know if this was the smartest choice. I think with this particular situation, which I would appreciate, Universal was going for customer satisfaction. And it's a good thing that they are thinking of the guests, but I am also looking from a business standpoint, and I'm like, was it really that good? And then you have the next problem, because I don't know if there is still an AAP line. if they don't have an AAP line, you never know when someone with special needs is coming. In the AAP and Express Pass line, they know here are the people that maybe need some extra time boarding. And no, it can be on both lines and both boarding areas. I mean, for you, it maybe sounds, yeah, it's not that big a deal. But I am thinking deeper because I am now like, okay, you need to have every cast member trained for those kind of situations. I know there is a rotation system, but it was far more likely to have, again, guests who maybe needs help transferring on the Express AAP line than the normal line. Now you have the situation going on both lines. And yeah, then you need to have the cast members prepared. You need to have the space prepared where you can handle the wheelchairs. And you have still different exit areas as well. So I think they, and this is what I heard from a couple of cast members, they accidentally involved a certain amount of new problems with this new system. They thought, okay, opening it up, it's great for capacity, so we can just add more people, because at the Express AAP line, Hagrid's was always a walk-on. It was never ever near a capacity problem. And I think this is what Universal saw, and it was going down, 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 especially in the low season. And yeah, I can understand. But in my opinion, I don't have the architecture plan of Hagrid's in front of me. But the better solution would have been to maybe completely redesign the line, let the AAP Express Pass entrance still be there and the special boarding area, but be able at a certain merging point to let guests from the normal line going to the other line. I think that would have been a better solution, but I think those boarding areas are not near together. I've never been on Hagrid's on the normal line, but I think you have because you never see a train in front of you, so I don't know. Yeah, I think it's interesting just to think about stuff like that. And I made so many notes at the IAPA, for an example, because I'm thinking, especially, I read all of your comments. I read a lot of you guys have problems yourself with autism or have children with special needs. And one thing a lot of people would benefit from is just an option to turn out the speakers on a certain seat during an attraction. For an example, on Hulk, in the back row, there would it be possible to turn off the speaker if an autistic kid is coming? That would help a lot. I saw it myself that a cast member really was trying. I know that they are allowing, because I think they had special headphones that those people could wear on the attractions, but Universal is really not liking to using those headphones. And if they are using them for people with special needs, they will definitely put them in the back row, because in case they got lost, no one will get hurt. Okay, maybe they will get hurt, because at Velocicoaster and Hagrid's, those headphones, those trains are going around the park above people. So if those headphones are getting loose from a person who's autistic, this is not good. So in my opinion, and my idea was like, hey, can't you attach those headphones permanently on a white vehicle, attach them in a way they can't get loose, and maybe have a small little area where you just have a door that you can close. So they are there in case you need them, but hey, happy Saturday. I am talking again about my favorite topic, the headphones at Hulk and headphones in roller coasters, because I think they are so important. I know that I had so stupid conversation with people who don't know people with special needs, because they were like, why don't they just use earplugs? And I'm like, yeah, but earplugs are not that great in noise cancelling. I can guarantee you that because I tried earplugs as people in the room next to me having fun with each other the whole night, and I was still able to hear them. And this would not be enough for someone who is autistic. So you definitely need the high quality work protection earphones when you're working with autistic people. Yeah, those headphone things, I just had the conversation with my friend. She explained to me how expensive those headphones are. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? We are talking about headphones. And she was like, yeah, if I really want to have a good pair, we are starting at $300. And I'm like, for headphones? Yeah, and my insurance company will not pay for them. But I need them because otherwise, when I'm going grocery shopping, someone will die. And I'm like, okay, completely relatable, but it's insane how expensive they are. And I don't know if it's only for theme parks, but they should definitely invent a design that those headphones will not go off during G-forces. And yeah, I really hope that IAPA is at least working on stuff like that, because otherwise I'm like, are you even thinking about autistic people in the theme parks? Because I think this would be the first step in making the parks more accessible for them. Because again, I saw it with a small boy. Hulk is such a freaking loud coaster. And I think even if you're turning down the music, it's an old coaster. It's still loud. It's still loud. And people will scream in front of you. You can't say to the whole train, hey, please be quiet because you have an autistic boy. Most people will not care and do it anyway. This is unfortunately human behavior. It's hard, but it is what it is. And yeah, how is the solution? You need to have those headphones. And in my opinion, you need to have a small little door, a clap door, put them in there and make them permanently attached to the train, and make sure that this is completely attached to the train so they can't get loose during the G-forces. And I think every new coaster should have a solution for this. And then you have discussions with normal people that are like, yeah, maybe then they should just not ride those roller coasters if they are not able to do so. And I'm like, if we find a solution, then why not? This is something I just hate, because accessibility is about independence. And this is something I'm talking a lot about with my blind friend. She just wants to be able to do everything on her own. Yeah, for being independent, she maybe needs some accessible items, like her guide dog Thor, or her cane, or ample lights that make noises and stuff like that. And yeah, this is, if the light is beeping, I don't care. But if it's not, she can't cross the street. So why should a normal person even care about that there are headphones available? I can completely relate. I had the experience at Velocicoaster. I am not sensitive to sounds and stuff like that. Maybe if I'm exhausted in the end of the day, then I am just like, please turn it down. But on a day-to-day basis, I don't have problem with it. But even in the Express Pass AAP line at Velocicoaster, after a long day, I was like, and this was even the point before the locker area was visible. It was so freaking loud for no reason. It was so loud, and because it was so loud, I can understand it. People start talking even louder because they want to be able to talk to each other, so they need to scream to each other. And so everything was getting louder and louder and louder on top. And again, for absolutely no reason in this line. And I was like, okay, just imagine someone with autism being in this line. Even if it's only 10 minutes until the lockers, I can guarantee you this person will not have a chance to survive those 10 minutes. This person will be out of the line, and I will give my best friend 2 minutes under these circumstances. And she would be, no, I'm done. I will not be in this line with this sounds going on and off for all the time. I mean, as a normal, healthy human being, I find it quite cute because I love dinosaurs. I just love the dinosaur sounds of the velociraptors. They can just make their noises, and for me, they are cute. I love them, but I can understand that they are way too loud for normal people. And something that is really pissing me off at Velocicoaster, this is something no one can change, but okay, they could change, is the scene in front of the boarding area. Most of the time I'm not going there anymore because I can't climb stairs anymore. But in the past, this scene, in the beginning I was like, something is off. And then was my friend was like, I think they are using AI. I don't think those are Chris Pratt and the chick, I can't remember her name. I can't remember her character name or her actor name. For me, it's always the lady that wear high heels to run from a dinosaur. This is the wet hair girl. But they used AI and it was not there. You can still see it's AI. They pretend to be those characters, and I was like, Universal, this scene is not that long. Why have you not just paid Chris Pratt those amount of money to film this scenes with them? This would be so much more fun than people like me standing there and try to figure out what is wrong with this kind of movie going on. But again, this movie scene and stuff like that, that would also be way too much for someone with autism because it's just way too loud. And yeah, in this kind of area and circumstances, I think you could handle it quite good with headphones. But then you have the problem. With headphones, I think an autistic person could still wait. But you can't let those people with headphones board from this side of the train. Because those headphones, most of the time, if they are not approved for the roller coasters, need to go into the lockers. And the lockers are only at the exit side for people that need to have their things and belongings with them until they board. So there was again another barrier Universal was not thinking about in the beginning, to put those special needs lockers on the wrong side of the platform. But again, I think, and I don't think that they are necessary there in the first place. On the other side, they would be better because when you're boarding this area, you cross the locker area. You could just use a normal line, use a normal locker, put your stuff there. There was no need for the lockers on the exit. Hey Claire, well, nice to meet you. Nice to see new people in the chat and joining our conversation here, because I think those are really important things, especially things that normal people not thinking about. And why should they? And again, I think those lockers, they are good and they need to be there, especially if you have medication and stuff like that you don't want to get away from for more than 5 minutes. But yeah, I think they are on the wrong side of the attraction, because again, you can't put any headphones there from people from the normal line. I know for this reason there is the reason why you have special tiers of the AAP, but again, I think someone who is not that severe autistic as my friend could benefit from taking her headphones with her in the normal AAP Express Pass line. For her, there would be no reason to use the lift. She's not that severe autistic that she can't stand with other people for a couple of minutes. And yeah, but there wouldn't be a chance, because then her headphones will become a problem. And yeah, I think, again, maybe there could be a normal attachment for your headphones that you are using, because there's another thing with people who have autism. They want their own stuff. They are comfortable with their headphones. They know those headphones are working. So I think maybe the even smarter thing would be something you can attach your own headphones securely. Yeah, again, if running water sounds maybe bothers your kid, then there is absolutely no way for her to wait in a line like Velocicoaster. Even I would say Kong could maybe be nice and interesting. Maybe it's too much, too loud, the whole attraction. But the whole waiting area, even if you are express AAP or special need line, you still need to cross this huge hall where this Kong scene is going on with this old chick in front of them, and you need to go through this room. I hope you have a wonderful Saturday as well. And yeah, this is, in my opinion, a big problem for people who are really sensitive to sounds. I mean, I am only getting scared quite easy. I know in this part of the line you don't have scare actors. This is good for me. If I ever, for one reason, because it's a walk-on, use the other line, I always have someone with me who I can just push in front of me and make sure there's no actor that can scare me. I know I am an evil human being, but again, this is something, just imagine the situation you would create with an autistic person when a scare actor is coming out of nowhere. I mean, I laugh about it, but I don't think that Universal will wants to deal with this kind of situation, because I can guarantee you will ruin the day of my friend, maybe even the next day, if a situation like that is occurring, if she is getting triggered in such a high intense way. And then you have other human beings. I was in Werewolf at Epic. I decided this to be my last ride on that day, and this was not Universal's fault, but the ride broke down. Normally, I would be, okay, I'm fine, nothing bothering me. But the group in front of me were constantly moving around and hopping around and stomping on my foot, bumping into me, and I was telling them 3 times, hey, I have a damaged foot. Please make sure that you are not stepping on my damaged foot, because I will have severe problems if you do so. And then on the other side, the other group behind me started pushing as well, and I was just at one point, after 10 minutes, just losing my shit. And I was like, I tried to be calm and nice the first couple of times, but at one point I just started yelling at them, and I was like, can you please make sure people are not stepping on each other here? Oh, that's so nice. Next Saturday, I think you should be fine, because, okay, horror nights are maybe on, but otherwise it should be off season. I don't know. Have you already set up your AAP? And again, this is something a lot of people don't realize, that you have certain kinds and tiers of the AAP. You can have from just having express pass line. You can only get an AAP that is saying, hey, you will get a free wheelchair for the waiting area. This could also be a solution for the AAP. I am always like, it's not working for me, because most of the time I am on my own. But this is the lowest tier, I guess, getting a wheelchair for free for the waiting time in the attractions. And the highest tier is just VIP access, go directly to board. Every time, because of the capacity problem I talked earlier about, you will get a return time. But those are the steps from you can go in the normal line with a wheelchair to you can board directly without getting in contact with other people. Yeah, this is what I was talking about those headphones. Your daughter knows those headphones are working for her, so there should be a solution to attach exactly those headphones to the roller coasters. And I hope that I will not get kicked out of IAPA, but I really want to talk with the engineerings about stuff like that. I mean, I already told Jake, a friend of mine who is coming with me, please put me on a leash when we are going to Mac Industries. Because Mac is, they did Stardust Racer Werewolf, and they are quite big. But the problem is they are German and they are owned by Europa Park. And if you learn something from my videos, I absolutely hate Europa Park. It's one of the worst theme parks that are existing. They don't give a shit about someone with disabilities. They are just like, yeah, then just don't visit a theme park anymore. This is the mindset of Europa Park. And if Mac Industries is something like this, we will have a great time at the APA. And the good thing is, I can talk German to them. So I can even yell with them at them in German. So yeah, because this is something I noticed with Mac coasters. They were the most inclusive coasters in the industry. I mean, look at Werewolf. It's a nightmare to board. It's a complete nightmare to board. Then look at Stardust Racer. I love Stardust Racer, but the waiting situation, the waiting line before Universal corrected it was shit. Then, I mean, this is a fun thing about Mac. They didn't do a backup slingshot at Stardust Racer. So I talked about the situation. It was hurricane gusts, high winds, and a really smart cast member had the great idea to test shoot Stardust Racer during hurricane winds. Both trains at the same time. At least no one was in the trains. It was only a test ride. And imagine what happened. They weren't able to do the second hill climb and got stuck. And Stardust Racer has no backup at all. So they needed to organize a crane and get them back in the loading area. It took them 3 days. And I'm like, this is something Mac should definitely thought about, because Velocicoaster, I don't know which company designed Velocicoaster. Velocicoaster definitely has. They have a backup slingshot. Maybe it's not the best experience when you are in it. If you are not making the second hill climb, they can just, with the magnets, backfire you up again. So easy peasy. Stardust Racer don't have it. Then you see the AAP and special needs boarding area procedure at Velocicoaster. The only thing that you need to survive as an autistic person is the way until the lockers. And even there, I'm like, I think, again, I am not in the highest tier of the AAP. If you are, you could just use the exit, be exactly from the shop, go to the exit, go to the lockers, go there and talk to a cast member from the lift. So at Velocicoaster, it is completely possible to avoid any kind of human interactions if you want to ride. At Stardust Racer, I mean, even the boarding area, it's so complicated and so unnecessary, designed and uninclusive and unaccessible, in my opinion. Because, yeah, okay, you have the lift, but the lift is located in front of the security check, in front of the, do you have anything with you? And this is stupid, in my opinion, because then you don't have an access point where you can fast track people that are needing it. And then right behind this security scan, you have to choose on which side you want to go on. If you want yellow and green, I don't remember. And you have two of those bottlenecks back to back at Stardust Racer. And completely unnecessary. And again, you really need a cast member that is guiding you through it if you need to get out of the crowd. You can call Universal, Dawn. I can give you the number. I can give you the phone number. They told me 48 hours before you arrive, but I would be so anxious at your situation. Just call Universal. Let me have a look. I gave it to Amber the last time. I will give you the phone number and call them right now. And then they can set it up. At least if you want to, they can just schedule a time, an interview time for you, so you are sure when you are using it. Or they will do that. In my case, they did it right away. I don't know why my emails are not working. Again, why is it again freezing? Okay, it's not frozen anymore. I'm so sorry. My stupid phone. I will now I have access to my emails. I will give you the phone number. A second, please. This point is embarrassing. How many emails I received from Universal at this point? This is really embarrassing, but okay. Give me 1 second. So I have the number. I will give you 2 phone numbers. This is for my second account. I always am using just to make sure that everything is working in my live stream. Those are the numbers, and I would definitely just call them right now. Give them a phone call, and yeah, for me, it was a really, really complicated, and I just hated it. They only asked me 1 question, and then they put me on hold for 15 minutes. And I was so anxious in those 15 minutes, and I was like, why? Why? And is my case so complicated? But again, I would definitely call them. I also have the email address directly from the accessibility team. I will copy the email address as well. So definitely give them a phone call, talk to them, and say that you want to set it up. I used an excuse because, again, in my email they were saying 48 hours, and I was like, 48 hours before I arrive, I will already be on my way to Berlin, and in our German train system, we don't have cell phone. I can't use my cell phone on a reliable base, so yeah. And she was like, okay, if you want to, we can do it right now. And I was like, yeah. And then just prepare. And I think the easiest way is just to be honest. Just communicate honestly what you need. Because my doctor's note said, okay, I can't climb stairs, I can't stand for a longer period of time. It's not for me, it's from the other person, from Ina, because again, this is the account I'm using to look at that everything is working. So this should be the phone number. And again, it's definitely easier, and keep in mind that they have different kind of AAP access tiers, and make sure to think what you really need, and make sure that you communicate your needs completely honest and give them a reason why they need to add it too. Because again, in my situation, if I would go with a group, they could have technically I will write I will just write it out for you. It's 8777 589 478. This is the phone number. Maybe YouTube is blocking it. I don't know. But 877 589 478 is the phone number that you can just use and call them. And again, if I would have someone at Universal who's really had a bad day, they could just say, yeah, you will get the free wheelchair for the lining process. But I made sure that they will not put me in this category because I'm like, I most of the time will travel on my own. You don't want me to navigate a wheelchair on my own in a line in a combined space with other people. Other people will kill me at the end of the lining process. I can guarantee you because I am clumsy. And they were like, yeah, completely understandable. So they got rid of that idea really, really fast. And then I was like, and then on top of it, I really have problems climbing stairs. On a good day, it's fine, and I don't need the assistance, but it would be nice if you just added to it. But here is the problem. They had paper tickets before, and I know for a fact you can still ask for them. And on the paper tickets, they have a symbol that says that you need the lift. So the cast members knows from the beginning, hey, this person needs lift access, and they will pass past you through the lift access. Without it, with the app service, with the AAP on your phone, you don't have the symbol. And this is something I really hope Universal is adding to it, that when they are scanning your face or your ticket at the Express Pass point, that a symbol will just blob up and say them, hey, person need a lift. Because without the symbol, without the card, you always need to ask every single time, every cast member for the lift. Yeah, okay, maybe you don't have to, because when you did every ride once, you know where the lifts are. I think at Velocicoaster at one point, yeah, it's on the left-hand side. You know, it's not that big of a brand deal. But I always make sure just to let the cast member know. Because again, you don't see my disability, and see someone just going for the lift is just, I don't want to bring him in a bad situation. So I'm always asking. This procedure again for Hulk is so freaking unnecessarily complicated. You need to go to the person that is staying in front of the Express Pass and telling her, hey, I am going to need the lift. They need to scan your AAP return time. Then you need she will give you an Express Pass that is printed out. You need to go to the lockers, put everything in the lockers, go to the exit of Hulk, and then someone is waiting there and using the lift with you together. Because the lift is blocked, you can't call the lift without a cast member. In 2 weeks' time, I've never saw a single cast member standing there. Never. No matter how long I was waiting, the first time I was so confused, I asked the person at the picture point. He had never heard of it before. He was so badly trained on that situation. And at one point, I was just going to the people at the metal detector, and I was like, hey, there should be someone, but there isn't. And they just called the lift and sent me up. This is the Hulk situation. Again, I can understand why they block the lift, because a lot of random people would probably just misuse it. Because at Velocicoaster, you have the cast member who can have a look at the lift. At Hulk, you would absolutely have no power about who is using the lift, because this is the reason I think why they blocked it. And at Gringotts, it was quite easy. At Mummy is quite interesting. Yeah, you need to use the lift on the up-hand side. And then, pro tip, most of the cast members will do it because they can think. But some cast members don't have the ability to think wider than they can throw, because you have 2 tracks at Mummies. One track is going directly at the access ramp. So at the one side, you will go directly and exit through the ramp. So you don't need the lift when you are exiting. On the other side, you need to climb stairs up and down. So when they are putting you on the front and on the wrong side of Mummy, you need to figure out where to go. And it's a nightmare. So always, when you're using the lift at Mummy, call the cast member and tell them, hey, I also need the lift when I'm going down. Please sit me on the right track, on the right side of the track. then they will do, no problem at all. But this is something you really need to keep in mind at mummies, because otherwise it's just more confusing. Men in Black, for an example, you will be directly on the boarding area with the lift. It's easy, you can't miss it. This is something you shouldn't worry about. And the worst thing is Ministry of Magic, because you need 3 or 4 lifts to go to the boarding area and walk at least for 5 minutes backstage with a cast member. I would never ever be able to do this walk without a cast member. Even if I've done it 20 times, I would still be please. And just imagine what a bad situation you are doing to yourself, because you always have a cast member available to do this walk. It's completely crazy. And I think in reality it's only 1 flight of stairs going down to the boarding area. So completely unnecessary what they did at Ministry, and it's a new attraction. So there should have been definitely an easier and better solution. And I don't know what it is, Ministry and we are not friends, because the last time it took us 4 rounds and we got stuck every time. Every time on a different part of the ride we got stuck, light on and back to the boarding area. I mean, we had fun. Our car had so much fun at the end. We were clapping and having so much fun as when we finally did it. But yeah, Ministry is a nightmare if you need the lift. Joshi's, because of my incident of the idiot that pushed me down, I would always say use the lift at Joshi's. Don't try to use those stairs. They are round stairs and they are a nightmare even without a disability. Always use the lift at Joshi's. It's definitely saving you energy and you can save your life. I mean, it's not that bad, but I think you get what I want to say. The same for Mario Kart. This is, again, in my opinion, at Epic we are talking about a theme park completely with new attractions, and I think some of those are so built without accessibility in mind, and this is something that shocked me the first time at Epic. Yeah, they have solutions for everything, don't get me wrong, but the solutions sometimes are just crazy, as Ministry, that you need that many lifts just to go there, accessible without stairs to the boarding area. And I talked a lot about it, of the design of Super Nintendo World. I just can't remember, but in my mind, the Super Nintendo World in Japan, okay, it's smaller. This is a fact. The one in Japan, in Osaka, is definitely smaller. But I remember it that you have a ramp to go down. The reality in Super Nintendo World in Epic, okay, if you can just use the escalators, you are fine. You can go at least to the upper floor. A wheelchair user, for an example, just can't. So this experience of going up the pipes is completely gone away and taken away from the person in a wheelchair. So with a wheelchair, what you only can do is going into Super Nintendo World via the exit, which then you are at the Donkey Kong level. And when you want to go up to Mario Kart and Yoshi, you need to find the lift that there were basically no signings for. You need to know where the lift is, talk to cast members, and again, normal people are like, yes, just talk to the cast members. But add it up, when I think we are talking all with the same problems, when you need to talk and ask a cast member the whole day for help, even for smallest things, for, hi, can I use the lift, ever and over and over and over again through the whole day, this is exhausting. This is really exhausting. And then imagine in the evening have someone who is pushing you, like the guest in front and back of me at Werewolf. At that point, even I am normally completely nice and controlling me. I'm a journalist. I saw shit. I know how to breathe. I am doing CrossFit, and normally I'm really, really good at it. But it's so freaking exhausting for me to ask for help all the time. And when then people are starting to push me, you don't want to be near me. And this is something I always say, stay on property, but those bus drivers are the worst. Imagine being completely exhausted and then no one will make space for you in the bus. I mean, if you're in Surfside, it will take you 5 to 10 minutes from City Walk, but it can take you 15 minutes from Epic. I am not standing 15 minutes after a theme park day in a bus that is moving with my foot. But reality is, the other guests around you will not give their seat up for you. This is the reality. So, again, I am always going to not the bus driver. The bus drivers don't care at all. I always go to the cast member in the bus loop, explain my situation, explain which bus I need, and make sure that the cast member is going with me to the bus driver and make sure I have a place to sit down. Just think about how much energy I need to spend to get something I need. Because, yeah, I get it. Everyone is exhausted at the end of a theme park day. But, yeah, you can just go and rest and you are fine the next morning. I will still be in pain. And because I pushed myself too hard, I will be in even more pain. And it's not safe to me to stay on a moving platform. And this is the same with, I think, boarding things like Hagrid's. The conveyor belt is okay. At Joshi's, it's okay. But the conveyor belt at Frankenstein, I am always thinking about asking them to slow it down or turn it off because it's moving way too fast. And again, this would also, again, be a conversation that is exhausting. And because of it, I know for a fact Universal don't care if you want to ride Velocicoaster 20 times a day. Even on the AAP, they don't care. They provide the service. You can use the lift as often as you want. But I am doing it maybe 2 or 3 times a day because for me it's so exhausting. Every time, go to the locker areas, ask the cast member, get the special treatment. Everyone is staring at you because you are boarding right away and not waiting with them. You hear the comments, and this is adding up on a theme park day. And again, this is something Universal barely can do anything again. But figuring out the boarding processes would be a first step. Especially, this is what really made me disappointed at Epic, that a new theme park has not thought about stuff like that. That they made the boarding process, especially at Stardust Racer, so inaccessible. Yeah, a scooter is definitely a good idea, but I am way too clumsy to use one, and if you are having the AAP call, I would not necessarily put too much spotlight on it. But because what can happen then is that they just say, yeah, you can use the normal line, you can use the scooter, we will take care of it, or we will provide a wheelchair. So you need to be careful to communicate it in the right way. But on the other hand, you have a good and obvious reason to say, hey, I need to use the lift. I would definitely recommend it. Most of the time, again, it's nothing against the cast members. At Velocicoaster, they let me always choose where I want to sit. Oh, at Stardust Racer, the same thing. They always ask, hey, can we make your day? Do you want to go in the front row? At Velocicoaster, I always go for the back row because I know I can put my foot in front on the car in front of me. And so my foot had special support. I know it's for a fact that this is possible in the back row. And the back and the front row at Velocicoaster also are more spaces. So if you have big hips like I do, I fit in every seat at Velocicoaster, but it's just more spaces and comfortable for me to go for the back. This is something, they know how exhausting stuff like that is for people like us. So they try to give us something back and make our day. And I think this is a really, really good thing, but it's still the stares of the other people. And again, I had this one situation at Hagrid's where someone was going at me for asking them to slow the process down, and he was in the he was in the express pass line, and he still was like, she can normally walk, why is she here? I saw she has no express pass. Why is she even in the line? She clearly don't need the AAP. And was talking really loud so everyone was able to hear his conversation. I know Universal's reaction was brilliant. We move him from the line and let him line the whole 2 hours in the normal line, and didn't let him enter again in the express pass line, because the Universal was like, it's not of your business. Not every disability is visible. But yeah, I just hate it when people are so spoiled. But there was the next thing. Beside from this one incident, I must say, people in the express pass line are just more chilled. I have way less stress waiting in the express pass line, even when a ride is breaking down, than in the normal line. I think the biggest advantage is, I don't know why, people usually don't skip the line. You don't need constantly to fight for your place in line like you have in the normal line. I was once lining up for 60 minutes the normal line at Hagrid's, and afterwards I really wanted to kill someone, because the girls behind us constantly wanted just to skip and wanted to overturn us. And at one point I was just looking at Jake and I was like, you need to deal with it, because when I am dealing with it, maybe both of us will get banned. So please talk to the girls. And the fun thing was, only one of them were waiting. The rest of the group was only there for emotional support. And I was looking at Jake, why didn't just the girl that wanted to go on Hagrid's use the single rider line? It's just like, yeah, okay, then you have definitely, when they can't, it makes sense. Most of the lines, there's not enough room for a scooter. I'm just thinking, or having the image in my mind, trying to use a scooter in the Donkey Kong line. That would be fun. I think even a wheelchair at Donkey Kong is a challenge. And hey, if your husband can't push you, definitely, then you won't have a single argument. Then they will definitely give you the normal AAP. And again, if you struggle the slightest in climbing with stairs, please communicate it. Please ask for the lift service, because you don't need to deal with it. I think on a normal day, normally I would still be able to climb stairs. But here was the problem. You are not climbing the stairs in most of the attractions. You are standing on them. And I don't have the balance anymore in my foot. So when this fighting for position and the fighting, or they want to skip the line, is happening, I would just lose my balance and fall down the stairs. So it's not safe for me to be in the stairs. And I think in your case, it's the same. Yeah, I can completely understand. This is, I am standing up for anyone I see at the theme parks when stuff like this is happening. I just hate it. I saw a girl so badly struggling. She was on her own. She was barely able to walk, and you could see it. She was asking me if she can sit down on the bench next to me, and I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, hey, what's your story? Started a conversation, and she started crying because she was like, I am not able to do a single ride because of the waiting times and because of the way people are treating me. And I am like, you get that tweeted on the AAP, because for me it was obvious that this girl needs the AAP. When she is barely able to walk, you could see it. She was not faking it. And she was like, I've never heard about the AAP. And I was like, we are going to guest services right now. Straight to guest service and set the AAP up for you. because you don't need to struggle. You have the right to enjoy the theme park like everyone else. And the AAP is not to cheat the system, it's a tool to make attractions accessible for you. And this is something I think, I don't know why. Maybe it's the fact because they are scared of it, like things could get out of hand like at Disney. But the AAP is not really good communicated. I mean, in our community, I think everyone needs that is existing. But that girl never ever heard about the AAP. I know for fact at guest services, they have one single leaflet hanging there somewhere with how to apply for the AAP. That's it. But if you are not knowing what to look for, I think you will easily oversee this leaflet at guest services. And then think about it. On the normal Universal app, AAP is not there. AAP will be there after you apply. So for normal people opening the app, there is not even an option for the AAP. You don't know that it exists within the app. On the normal Universal homepage, there is no much information either. I was lucky that a cast member set it up for me for my first time. And she was so kind and explained everything so well to me, because I was like, it's crazy that, yeah, it's good the system is there, but you are not communicating it good enough. Yeah, this is exactly, Amber. I am always there and standing up, and I will choose those fights. I don't care if I'm getting in trouble, but when I see someone is getting mistreated and is starting to cry, the other person has a problem. And yeah, exactly. This is really, really funny. I think it's now 2 or 3 trips ago. We had the problem. We were waiting so long for single rider line at Hagrid's. Ride broke down, and we were. I have this problem with the foot. The girl that was with me has something going on with the back, and we were like, we can't. We just can't. Went to guest services, and complained about it. They gave us 2 express passes each. They didn't even mention the AAP at that point. They clearly saw both of us have a disability. I don't know. I definitely don't know if there was maybe something going on in the background that is telling them not to push the AAP too much. This is something I notice. Because in my opinion, for people who clearly needs the AAP, Universal should just communicate it more often and give it to the people without requesting. Because again, they only gave us 2 express passes, but in reality we weren't able to stand in any line anymore. And this would have been the perfect moment for the cast member to introduce us to the AAP. But they didn't choose to do so. I mean, I have a few comments of Disney adults under my videos. I always love about them because I'm like, you are just crazy. Because they were telling me that Universal is going against the law, because they are not allowed to ask for a proof of your disability. And I am like, yeah, this is the point of the AAP. Universal is not asking. This is why IBCCCS is in place, because Universal is not seeing your doctor's note at all. They just see a green light when it's approved. So I don't think that this is something unlawful. And yeah, I don't know why not so many people know about the AAP. And I saw a lot of children that would definitely benefit from the AAP, children with special needs. And yeah, they didn't have it. They were going for the normal line, and I was just like, okay, I can't. I mean, at one point, maybe Universal will just kick me out if I do so. I can't walk up to everyone and say, hey, have you heard about the AAP? Then I feel like I am someone like from Scientology or stuff like that. If I would just go to everyone with a disability and talk about it. And Universal is definitely better in controlling it, because at Disney, they will just fake the disability to get the advantage. And at Disney, you will only get one ride one time with a time frame. And I don't think that the DAS system is that great at Disney that it is worth faking a disability. It's just, why? I mean, maybe this is the whole reason behind it, why Universal is keeping it that secret, but Universal is not that bad. I was researching SeaWorld, and I saw the system that is in place at SeaWorld, and I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm not doing it. Because they don't have a system like that in place that you can set up for your duration of the stay or for your annual pass. Every day you go to SeaWorld, you need to go to guest services. You will have every time a different cast member. Explain the situation to them, and if you are lucky, they will approve it. And they can always add stuff like, okay, she has this kind of disability, so maybe she is not able to ride this and this coaster, and they will restrict you from certain roller coasters. And I was like, this is just the worst system I've ever saw in place. And this is something I would never use at SeaWorld. Because this is, in my opinion, embarrassing to justify to an untrained cast member my complete medical history to get access. And then the cast member with no medical background can make the decision which roller coaster is approachable from me or not. This is just wrong. Yeah, I think this is the fact that Universal is just scared of people abusing the system like they are doing at Disney. But in my opinion, at least how I saw Universal parks in the past, especially not only in America, if you're even comparing Disney and Universal in Japan, Universal fans are just so more chilled. I mean, even Disney Japan, the Disney adults in Disney Japan are just something. Let's say something. It's the best description. I mean, it's kind of cute in Japan. They, before the parades or shows, even in the Hello Kitty theme park, they will teach all of the audience the dance and the choreography of the show. So the whole audience can participate in the show and in the dancing stuff. This is quite cute, but some Disney fans are just mental. I'm so sorry to say it, but stuff I saw even in Japan was just like, what the heck is humanly wrong with you? It's still a fictional world, you know? And I think this kind of overdoing is not happening at Universal. And I think Disney is doing definitely a better job in accessible attractions. I mean, I love it that It's a Small World and Pirates, for an example, have special boats where you can board with your wheelchair, so you don't need to transfer. I don't think there was a single Universal attraction where you can transfer with your wheelchair and use your wheelchair. And for an example, Joshi would be definitely, from an engineering standpoint, possible. And if you had Joshis with wheelchair access, you could avoid stopping the whole attraction every time. Because again, every time I'm at Joshi's, I don't know how long the ride is, maybe 5 minutes, it's a people mover. Every time the ride got stopped at least once because someone was exiting or entering. And yeah, I think it's just not a good design. And the good thing, I think, at Universal is that it is even not, it is not visible for the normal human guests to see if you are using the AAP or the Express Pass line. This is something I really appreciate, because most of the time you will filter out the arguments. You can see, of course, the hotel guests. You can see them quite clearly in the Express Pass line because they are scanning their hotel room key. But the virtual Express Pass and the AAP is just on the app. Yeah, you have on top of it a paper Express Pass. You can see them as well, but you will see no difference between an Express Pass that was bought via the app and an AAP. Only the cast member doing the scanning process. And I think at the old parks, they still need to scan everything. At Epic, this is completely gone. At Epic, it's only face recognition. You will only get your face scanned, and then it's getting good. And it's working really, really well. This face scan system, I saw it, that they scanned 5 people at the same time. You saw then the green lights on each face, and the cast member know, okay, every one of them is approved, they can go. So this is really efficient at Epic. But yeah, I think you don't see, you see that this kind of AAP is not that often, especially at Universal. At Disney, you see it more often. You barely see people moving in the exit. When I saw it the first times at Universal, I always thought those are VIPs. I didn't realize that this was a form of the AAP until I used the lift. And I'm really interested, because I'm doing the VIP tour, how the procedure is for VIP guests. I know that we are not using, during the tour, not using the Express Pass. I know that we are using a different entrance. I'm really interested in see how this kind of stuff is working. And then I'm really interested because for the rest of the day, I have unlimited Express Pass for Island and for Studios. I am really interested if it's still a benefit, and I would benefit from having an Express Pass on top of it, because for me personally, the AAP is enough. Because I think maybe it's because I'm getting older, I just can't ride 10 extreme coasters each day. At the end of the day, I will just get exhausted and don't feel well anymore. So most of the time, it's just enough for me to do Velocicoaster 2 or 3 times. The same is going for Hagrid's, and then the evening maybe twice Stardust Racer or stuff like that. I don't think that I would benefit from an unlimited Express Pass at all. I know Jake is doing so. He is so looking forward for this freaking unlimited Express Pass. But this is my lesson during my next trip, because I didn't do so the last time and I crashed out completely. I met him on my first date, completely jet-lagged, and we had a great time, and I was like, hey, I have 2 seats in a helicopter ride tomorrow. Paid for both of them because you can't do it on your own. Do you want to join me? Of course he would. We did the helicopter ride around SeaWorld, went shopping, and then spent the next day until the light were turned off at the parks. And I just can't do it anymore. I was just remembering I've never been on Simpsons, and he was like, oh, it's so much fun. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not that good in motion sickness and stuff like that. But I was like, hey, I don't want to say no. He has a good time and I don't want to ruin it. Worst decision of my entire life. I don't know if it was because I was so exhausted from the last 2 days, but as soon as this ride began, I know I will not survive it. So I was only concentrated and kept my eyes shut and not throwing up for, I don't know, I think nearly 10 minutes. It was not a good experience, and Jake was having the best time of his life. You heard him screaming. He had just such a good time, and I was just sitting there and trying not to die, trying not to throw up. After that experience, I was nearly kissing the ground because I was so happy that I was not inside that ride anymore. And he was looking dead into my face and he was like, hey, this was fun. Let's go to Mummy. And I was like, did Mummy once? And I was like, even Mummy was just like, my body was telling me so clearly that we are not going on a single other roller coaster today anymore. So he went on Mummy's, I think, 3 times afterwards. I was like, don't feel ashamed or stuff like that. I am just sitting here. You can go as often as you want. I don't mind. The problem was he needed to come back with me to Surfside because he put all the shoppings from the outlet shopping in my room. So we needed to leave together. But yeah, lesson I've learned is he will stay with me, I think, the entirety of the 2 weeks. So I was like, this cannot happen for 2 weeks. Because the day after he left, so my 3rd day, I crashed out so badly. I was standing in guest services in the night, even in the night. I was crying. I was done. I know Megan, the manager from Surfside, quite well, and I was like, I'm so sorry, but I think I would pack all my stuff, go to the airport, and leave. And she was like, no, please relax, sleep one night, and see how tomorrow is doing. So head out the next morning again, and still feel so freaking exhausted. Then pushing started during early park admission, and I was just like, I just can't do it. It was like, okay, maybe I'm going to Volcano Bay, maybe not, and went to guest services and explained my situation and told her how bad my situation was, how bad my pain level was, and I just started crying in front of this poor girl. And this was the first time someone mentioned and set up the AAP for me. And I think Megan at Surfside could notice it before, but I don't think that she saw at that moment the solution for me. She was only handling me and was like, please don't leave, please don't leave, please don't leave. This was her only thing she was taking care of. And yeah, I must say, the moment I had the AAP, it was just a complete change for me. It changed my complete experience of Universal. It was such a difference. Because now she was like, hey, which coaster do you want? I was like, I want Velocicoaster, and she set up the return time. And I just remember going there and sitting on the bench at Velocicoaster and just sitting there for 15 minutes, doing nothing, taking a break and enjoying my day. Went on Velocicoaster, as soon as I exit, fetched my time for Hagrid's. Bought something for lunch, sit down, people watched, and went on Hagrid's. So, not the pressure to have to stay in line with my foot, not to experience the pain, the pushing, the stupid comments from the people around me. That relieved such an amount of pressure of me that I was finally able to enjoy a theme park again. And this was something I haven't experienced since my accident back in 2011. I was like, you can still have fun in a theme park. A theme park visit doesn't mean you need to suffer to go on as many roller coasters as possible. Because this was what was going on. Because those coasters I wanted to do always had the longest waiting time. And doing one of those coasters would ruin all of my day, because I, after 2 hours of standing, would just crash out. And doing it for 2 days straight, I just could go home. And with the AAP, it's a tool for me to have fun again. And this tool, because I was not having the pressure on going on coaster again, this tool was allowing me, with a combination on staying on property, just to say at lunchtime or maybe 1 p.m., hey, I'm just heading to the hotel and lay down, or just buy some snacks there and sit at the pool. or go to Walgreens, or see the Titanic exhibition, stuff I've never considered doing when I was on a theme park um, vacation, or going to the outlets. It was opening up so much more than just having a stress-free experience. It was opening up Orlando for me. And this is something people underestimate, I think. They don't know how much the AAP means for us. I will definitely pray for your kids and that you don't have medical issues. When I remember correctly, I will be there the whole time you are there. So if you need something, again, send me an email. We will change numbers and I can help you out anytime. And Jake, just to give you an idea how great of a guy he is, his ex-boyfriend had lost both of his legs. So he is used to someone using permanently in a wheelchair. But you still need to communicate your needs, which I didn't the first time. So this was a lesson I've learned. And again, stuff like I've never thought about asking for an accessible room. I only had the panic attack in my head. What if I have a bathtub and I need to deal with the bathtub for 2 weeks? And having this anxiety every time I want to take a shower. So I only was asking for a normal shower, and Universal was immediately responding, hey, you will get an accessible room. You will have more room and easier access and more help provided with those rooms. And I was like, cool. Finally, my vacation is starting to make sense again. So, and I mean, it's not good in a good way that I have a personal connection to the first aid responders at Epic. I mean, this is telling you something about how wrong my last trip went, but they are there. And this is something you always need to keep in mind. And people don't realize enough, in my opinion. You can go to first aid whenever you need. Especially with autistic children, or when you just are so annoyed of people around you, because in my opinion, this is nearly the only space where you completely can decompress and turn off all the background noises. Go to first aid. They will ask you if you need help, or they were asking me anytime if I just want to hang out and take a deep breath and have a little bit of me time. They are always giving you this option at first aid as well. Most of the time they will, on top of that, give you free drinks. But this is another thing. I wouldn't communicate so often because people will misuse it. They will just go to first aid for free drinks because human beings are disgusting. But this is what they are there for. They are not only there for really, really bad medical emergencies. They are there for if you just need a Band-Aid. Don't have a Band-Aid, you cut yourself somewhere, go there. If you need a scissor, for an example, go to first aid and ask them. I won't not show my foot, but because of my arthritis, my bones are basically started to grow too bad. So I have a piece of bone sticking out in the middle of my foot. And this is putting pressure on the skin and putting pressure on my skin when I'm wearing shoes and stuff like that. And I was in such a bad shape at that point. And they were like, hey, do you want to have a compression? We can put it there, put a Band-Aid around it, and back on the shoe you go, and the pressure should be relieved. And please sit here for 10 minutes, and I will put an ice on the foot as well. So they can help you. And even in my case, after the guy stepped on my foot at Mario Kart, my pain level was just so bad through the roof. It was quite late in the evening. Again, he made sure I was taken care of until my room at Surfside. He wheeled me personally in the wheelchair to the bus stop. The bus driver called bell services and stuff like that. I, funny enough, never was at first aid in islands or studios. I can only talk for the first 8 in Epic, but they are amazing. Don't hesitate, don't feel sorry, don't overthink it. If your kids just need a space to calm down, go to first aid. If you have any kind of medical issue, no matter how small you think, and don't have the mindset, I don't want to bother them. They are sitting there anyway. Most of the time, because guests only think about medical emergencies when they think about first aid. Every time I was going inside there, they had a great time and chilled out. So just go there. And another thing is, what people are just not paying attention to each other. At the exit, not quite outside, in front of the exit, there was a girl just laying on the floor, and she just was clearly not feeling well. And so many people were just passing by. I mean, her boyfriend was sitting right next to. But everyone was ignoring her, and I was going up to her and I was like, hey, do you need something? Should I just call first aid? Everything is fine. And she just crashed out. She was just too exhausted. But I can't just understand why no one else had stopped and asked if they need help. I mean, just imagine this would have been an emergency or a medical situation. How many people would just walk past her? No one was asking the question I was asking, and I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. And let me just opening up the map at Epic. I think at Epic you have 2 first aid center. Next time maybe I just should share my screen. That would make life easier. I know for a fact that on the other side of Berg is one medical first aid point, and in the front of guest services. I mean, this is still a lot walking if something is happening, but if you need quiet places for the girls, and definitely would recommend the fountains in front of the Helios Grand, because there are barely people there. But there was the problem, especially for you girls, for the girls, you never know when the fountain show is going off. I was trying to figure it out. It's not scheduled on the app, and it was just so random every time. And this could be a problem when your girls are definitely overstimulated and sitting there having a great time, and then the fountain show is going off. This is another thing, Universal, I just don't understand it. It's not announced. They are just turning it on at one point, completely randomly, and not even at the same time every day or stuff like that you can maybe schedule it yourself. Just at one point, someone backstage is pressing a button and the fountain show is going off. And this is a problem for autistic people. And something I really hate there is you don't have an accessible ramp at this fountain. You only have stairs. And I mean, I have time. Most of the time I'm sitting there nearly an hour or so I can just crawl down to the place I want to sit. But this would be again an easy fit, just maybe 4 ramps from each direction, 1 ramp, so you can choose where you want to sit, and everything would be nice. And this is where I am thinking the engineers never thought about people who maybe have special needs. Because when you have at least one friend who is sitting in a wheelchair, this is something you will notice immediately. And you are like, hey, how is the wheelchair user going and find a place to sit down? Okay, he's only allowed in the upper circle. Not great, not great. So yeah, those are, and again, Super Nintendo World. I need to compare my videos, because I am so freaking sure that the one in Japan is more accessible. And another thing, cast member told me, I had no rain shower while I was there, but you can't make this shit up. I don't know who designed it, but the surface at Super Nintendo World is slippery as soon as it starts raining. And I'm like, you designed this park for Florida weather, didn't you? And what is happening in summer every day? Rain is not something that is unusual here. So which smart cookie had the design choice of a slippy surface in an area which will be completely overcrowded all the time with people who are getting overstimulated and putting a slippery surface there without accessibility ramps? Let's be polite. The first aid responder didn't want to give me a number, but a lot of people are slipping there. And this is the problem. If they would have designed it in another way and installed a complete different surface from the beginning on, you will not have this problem. But now, to change it and to replace the surface, this is not possible during normal hours. You needed to close a Super Nintendo World for at least maybe a month, I think, if you want just to replace the surface. And this would not be accepted by the fans. But this is again something I guess someone was designing who has not accessibility and inclusion in mind. Otherwise, especially the sound design would not be the sound design as it is at Super Nintendo World, because how it is designed at the moment, it is just not accessible for people with autism or people that are struggling with overstimulation. You should not enter Super Nintendo World. Maybe in the evening when it is emptying out, the music is still unbearable loud, but you can then remove maybe the people that are there. Then you're not getting pushed, because this is another problem. Human beings at this day and age don't have spatial awareness anymore. They will stand in the middle of the stairs and taking their pictures, don't realizing that people are in front of them and behind them, and that someone maybe can slip because you are just stopping without letting them know in advance. Yeah, this is something, again, like the ramp at the fountains. It's just, this is for me just a why. Because this would be so easy to install. This is not a problem at all. Make a nice handrail in the line, opening it up in every area so you can make it more safe, because I saw so many crazy shit happen there. I can understand it. Kids are full of energy and want to play, and they were doing somersaults and stuff like that. And I was just like, this screams like a serious incident that is waiting here. Someday, someone will hurt him or herself pretty bad here at the fountains. And only because it's such a bad design choice. And we are not talking about studios or islands, a theme park that is existing long before accessibility was part of the process of engineering. We are talking about a new opened up theme park with such a huge amount of accessibility flaws. This is something that is making me really sad at Epic. I love this park, especially in the evening. And I think Berg is the most accessible park. I just love Berg. The music is bearable, and I love Hiccup Swing Up Glider. This is one of the attractions they did so well with the stairs. Just let them know in the lockers, and you are boarding the car. The only thing they need to know every time if you are able to exit in case of an emergency, because they are points in the right, braking points, safety points, where you need to climb downstairs when the ride is getting stuck there. and the cast member just needs to know, so they know that someone who is needing extra help is stuck in case of an emergency. I think this is completely legit. But going back to Ministry, this is just such a stupid and bad design choice. To use so many lifts just to go to the boarding area with avoiding stairs. And I was staying the first night on the stairs with a really, really lovely family also on the AAP. But those stairs, again, they were so narrow, and I was just happy that the family was so nice in front of me, because otherwise I would get again in panic mode that someone would push me down the stairs, because this is something that would fix a lot of the stair situations for me. A freaking handrail. This would just help, that I just could grab on something in the worst case. But even stuff like that is not there in many attractions, especially at Epic. I don't know, I don't even think that Joshi's the stair stuff had a handrail, because otherwise I would just have grab for it. But what is just keeping me up at night is just like, you had a quite good functioning Super Nintendo World in Japan, because I don't remember having any problem there. I know, again, Epic is much bigger. I don't know if I think in Japan they didn't have Joshi's. One of the bigger attractions is missing in Japan. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, it was quite working well. And this is another thing I think in Japan was good, because Super Nintendo World is definitely the bottleneck at Epic, definitely. And maybe, especially during high season and when the park is completely crowded, you should limit the amount of guests. Maybe not as bad as in Japan. In Japan, you are not guaranteed to get access. You can only reserve your spot when you enter the park. So rope drop is definitely necessary. They are doing the same, by the way, for Disney Fantasy Springs at Disney Sea. You needed to go into the park, get a time, and then you were allowed to choose only one of the 3 attractions. And choosing one of those 3 attractions gave you admission to the area for 1 hour. I think 1 hour would maybe not be enough, because you would only be able to do 1 attraction. But again, I think maybe a virtual line or attraction system that is allowing you to book a slot in a virtual line and then only have access 1 hour around this time slot at Super Nintendo World will maybe limit the amount of people. Maybe because in Japan there are mostly Japanese people, and Japanese people can behave. Maybe it would make the situation even worse in Epic, because everyone will fight for this hour and getting even more crazy. But limiting the amount of people at Super Nintendo World would definitely help, because I don't think that there are less people in Berg. I just think the design is better, because at Super Nintendo World you only have one area, and then the way to Donkey Kong. So all of the people that are inside of the land are limited in a quite tight space. And in Berg, you have all the ways you can go. You have a lot of room to spread out. In Ministry and Monster, the same. I barely see people at Monsters at the windmill. Even in the evening when it's catching fire, most of the time I'm standing there on my own. So it's a way better design of crowd management. And I don't know if I shared the story, but I was laughing so hard. I was talking to a cast member and I'm like, hey, I was also as a journalist in certain war zones. And those war zones are not as bad as Super Nintendo World. And he was laughing his ass off, and he was telling me stories of what happened during his time as a merchandise cast member on one of those cards. My absolute favorite story is small children climbed on top of it to the very top of Super Nintendo World, and they needed to close the entire area and call the fire department to get this kid down again. And yeah, just imagine what those cast members needs to go through on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, I worked for Nintendo. I am a Nintendo girl. I love Nintendo, but I don't know. I mean, I also love Berg and Jurassic World, and I saw stuff happening when Joshi was out as a character. And I am just like, it's still a puppet, people. I mean, I always love to talk about that they have safety instruction before you are meeting Toothless. I mean, just let's talk about it. It's not there because nothing ever happened, because no other character meet and greet is set up that way. You have a cast member. I don't know if he has the exact plush. He has this plush with you, and then he is explaining you where you are allowed to touch Toothless, not poking him in his eyes, under his shin is I think shin was bad. I think in the movies then he's falling asleep, so no chin. You are basically only allowed to touch him here on his snout. And then, first of all, you need to have an extra cast member standing there explaining you where you are allowed to touch a puppet. And again, I don't think that children were the problem here. I don't think that the kids were making Toothless going crazy and destroying the puppet. I don't think children are the problem. I think a certain kind of adults were just thinking they paid entrance, so the theme park belongs to them and they can destroy everything they want to, only to have their best picture. I think we are talking about those kind of people. And then imagine being this cast member on a ship. I mean, it's a rotation ship, but being in this location for 8 hours, explaining everyone where to touch a puppet. And I talked, one of the photo character assistants was a German. So I saw a name tag, I talked to her in German, and I was like, what had happened here? In German, so not everyone was would be able to follow us in this conversation. And she told me that people were trying to sit on this wagon and ride on Toothless. They were pushing Hiccup, the actor of Hiccups, to the side because they wanted to own this freaking dragon. And I'm like, cool. I am chilled. I just want a picture with Toothless. I'm cool. I don't think you will see me here ever again because I am not waiting. And this is not included in Express or AIP. I will not wait 2 hours again for a picture with Toothless. And again, I think this is what people are making so crazy and insane. That they wait in the Florida heat for 2 hours for a 3-minute interaction. There is nothing you can change it. Maybe just build 3 or 4 more of these puppets, do it indoors, and then send them to different Toothless puppets. Maybe this would be making a difference. They told me in the evening. It's most of the time a walk-in, so maybe go in the evening. But I just need to think every time that you need someone to explain to you how to touch a puppet. This is giving you, I think, the best mindset you can have when you're entering Epic. Just expect really crazy behavior. I mean, I talked again to Megan from Surfside, and I was in Epic in January, and she told me the madness has slowed down. It's getting better. I mean, in January, when I was there, the first aid responder told me that they need to have 6 times more first responders every day in the parks than at any time at any Disney park, because it was that crazy. Food items. I still have my beloved. This thing was the best thing I tried at Epic. This was the Joshi float. I just love it. I think it was mango. It was so refreshing. It was ice and a mango smoothie basically. My definitely favorite. I really love the mac and cheese cones at Burke. I never ate at the Monster Universe thing because all of the German spelling mistakes are just triggering me. Seeing the menu, I was just like, I just want to tell them how to write those stuff properly, but no, it's not. But the menu at the Monsters restaurant looks really, really good. The restaurant in France at Ministry is really, really cool. I love, Jake recommended to me and went with me there. I love Moe's. I love Moe's Tavern at Studios. In Studios, if you like fish, they have such a small bucket with tuna and pickles. This was really delicious. I would really recommend. I love the pizza stuff at Superheroes Landing at Studios. I don't know if they have the exact same thing in the Jurassic Park area as they did in Japan. I don't think so. But if they do have, if you find something like that, they had a curry volcano. This was really, really good. I don't think that this is there anymore because I don't know how they closed up now the area with the adventure area where the theater was. But there, on the other side from King Julian, there was a food court with kebab. Definitely worth the money, was so delicious, good sizes, love it. Would always recommend all of them. Lemon slices you can buy when you want to have a small little healthy snack. We talked the last time about it. Definitely going for the refillable mug, especially with a family. Refill it. I mean, Florida water is free by law, but especially with kids, sometimes you just want to have something sugary inside or a Gatorade for your electrolytes or stuff like that. And you can't give kids all the time only water. They should also have fun in the theme parks. So definitely the mugs, and let's think. I think the menu at Seuss Landing was looking really, really good. And again, Seuss Landing is always a pro tip because most of the time it's really quiet. So if you want to have a quiet area to sit and eat, I would go there. And a pro tip, if you have a hopper ticket, just go outside and eat at City Walk. Especially during lunchtime, and so if you really want to eat at lunchtime. Or even better tip, what I am doing most of the time, go back to the hotel. Or if Sephira Falls is not the menu good, we can always hop on the bus together to Surfside, because I could easily eat 2 weeks worth of my main menu at Surfside. I love the restaurant, the food quality, and the prices. So this is also a good option just to hop back to your hotel, because especially with your kids, you always need to calculate the stress, especially if you want to eat during a time when everyone else is eating. I mean, the Mac and Cone at Epic and stuff like that, mobile order is definitely helping you out. But even with mobile order, you still need to find a place to sit down, and when you are 8 people, those spaces are limited, and this can add more stress than necessary especially to the kids. So maybe I would just recommend again, go to City Walk or to the hotel, and City Walk has so many options. I think people underestimate City Walk a lot. you have so many bars, restaurants. In the worst case, you have Burger King if it needs to be fast food. They have cinnamon bun, the cinnamon stuff. They have Starbucks. They have so many bars, sport bars. You have the Hard Rock. You have even the Hard Rock Cafe. And in the evening, I would not recommend going there because it's completely crowded. But during lunch break, the Hard Rock Cafe, most of the time, is pretty chilled. So, again, Moe's is really nice, but at Moe's, indoors, I've never found some place to sit down, and outdoors, even there, spaces is limited. So it really depends on which time you want to eat. If you maybe can eat in the afternoon, all those places, Moe's and stuff like that is definitely good. If you want to eat at Marvel's Landing, I would recommend the area where Spider-Man is. There you have access to the pond. And in front of the pond, most of the time, I think they even have tables there, but it's quiet, and most of the time I am going there if I grab my food and eat there. Did the Fever Falls don't have a food court? That's crazy. Because Surfside has a really good food court. They have an outdoor pool bar, and they have a Starbucks. I thought this was, because it's the cheapest option, I thought this was the standard in the Universal Resorts. But hey, in the worst case, again, we can always go and hop on a bus to Surfside and eat our meal at the pool. I don't think I did it with Jake. I mean, they don't mind you spending your money at Surfside. Let's face the reality. So and at Disney, it's normal to do resort hopping to eat in the different spots. And so I definitely would, in your opinion, of course, look into the theme park food, look into mobile ordering, but have in mind that you could always go to City Walk or to one of the resorts and eat something there. Because especially during lunchtime, things can get crazy. And things can sell out and stuff like that. Okay, the restaurant, I mean, it's nice, I think. Surfside, for example, does not have a restaurant, but you still have the small grab section. But again, you have burgers, you have pizza. I don't know if they have mac and cheese or stuff like that, but they have a good menu, and they will do everything fresh as soon as you order. And the food sizes is good. It is good for me. I ate 2 days for my burger because it was way too big for me. And another thing is, at Surfside, you can just go and you are on International Drive. Sometimes I went to IHOP, for an example, because it's just on the other side of the street of Dockside, so not far away. And there you have everything you could ever imagine. But in the theme parks, I think the food quality is really good. The prices are affordable just compared to Disney. But as bigger your group get, as more complicated it can get to find a place to sit together. And then we talked about that problem again. You don't have accessible seating, especially inside in the restaurants. Maybe they can just get rid of one of the chairs and put the wheelchair there. But outside, most of the time, there will be no place for your girls to sit with a wheelchair. And this is another thing you need to factor in, because then it feels like just excluding them when they can't sit with you on the same table. I think, again, this is something you should make notes of and give Universal exactly that feedback, together with a changing table for adults in the bathrooms, because as we talked about at Super Nintendo World, or the fountain situation at Epic, I think they didn't, or benches at the bus loop at Epic Universe, another thing that just made me mad. They didn't think about it, because there were no people with accessibility problems involved into the process. And this is something I am really curious about talking at IAPA with the engineers directly. At which point do you think accessibility? Do you even think about accessibility at all? Or is this only something that the theme park has to figure out after the attraction is installed? Because from my point of view, at the moment, it looks like it. It looks like that the engineers don't give a F about accessibility, and the theme park needs to figure it out afterward. Because otherwise I just can't explain a lot of those attractions at Epic. Because they were clearly not designed with accessibility in mind, and this is a shame for a brand new park. But I think, and this is the problem, if you would add accessibility in the engineering process from the beginning, think about from scratch accessible, you would save money, you will save a lot of problems later on, in my opinion. Because what is happening now? I mean, only if enough people are complaining about it, I guess. But what is happening now? All of us are experiencing Epic and seeing all of the barriers, because I know that a lot of the accessibility community were so excited about Epic because it's a new theme park, so it should be the new standard in the industry accessible wise. But it's clearly not. It's clearly not, and this is disappointing. So just say they would have designed the whole theme park with accessibility in mind from the beginning. I think we would have seen a complete different park. A complete different design, a complete different layout. I think, again, Berg and Monsters is good. Ministry, I think, has a problem that it's really narrow. When you have a few wheelchairs or strollers and stuff like that, I think the ministry part is quite complicated to navigate. And the Celestial Park is, in my opinion, accessible-wise, the best design choice. Then you have, I mean, people are telling me Epic is so easy to navigate. I can't count the times how often I was going in the wrong direction for one portal, or that I was just not finding the entrance of Stardust Racer. I think for people who have problem navigating, or people that maybe are visual impaired, will suffer. And this is something, even especially for people that are visual impaired, I was talking about a lot of Disney. I absolutely hate Main Street because of the cobblestones and of the whole layout. I mean, it's wonderful. I know why they choose it. I know why it should look like that. But from an accessible point of view, especially the whales are just the worst nightmare to navigate. And then imagine being visual impaired and have to deal with the whales at Magic Kingdom. And Epic Universe has a few of those as well. I can't remember. I just think that in the ministry part is then cobblestone. I think I remember stuff like that. And you will maybe agree that cobblestone is one of the worst things you can walk on when you have problem with your foot. And another thing is, I can completely understand why they are doing it at the water parks, the beach area. It looks beautiful. I can completely understand why they are choosing it. But I have such a hard time walking on sand, which is making the volcano and the wave pool area a nightmare to deal with. Yeah, I'm going there, but it takes so much time. and I'm going only there once, when they would have a better access point for people like us, I would spend way more time in the wave pool area. But again, I can understand why they are choosing it. And I think talking about Volcano Bay and water parks from an accessible standpoint, it's really complicated. Because there we will enter a part of a discussion where I'm saying maybe not everything can and has to be accessible. For an example, the trapdoor slide in the volcano. Maybe it would be an easy fix just to put an elevator there. I will not climb up the stairs to do this ride. No chance. No chance. I did it once in SeaWorld, in Aquatica. Didn't like it. I didn't like this mechanic of a ride. And for me, I don't know if everyone who is suffering with a foot injury, I am always scared in water parks that I make my foot and my condition worse. Because in a normal roller coaster, everything is secured. I know nothing can happen to my foot. Stuff can't go that wrong that something is happening to my foot in a normal roller coaster where I am sitting down and I am secured. But in a water park, on a slide, I'm always I'm always scared that I could just break, that I could just move in the wrong direction in the wrong way and just hurt myself. And this is the reason why I don't like the water parks, because I am always scared of injuring myself. And yeah, I love the lazy river. I just love to be a piece of driftwood hanging out in the lazy river all day long. I could do it all the time, but I had my 2 weeks ticket last time had Volcano Bay included. I went there once, and it was the first time ever I was there. And yeah, I think the pool at Surfside is enough for me if I want to cool down. And when I want to have that kind of experience, maybe in March again, I would just go to Discovery Cove again for one day, because I like it really, really much. Just their lazy river is brilliant, and the area where you can swim with all the fish, the reefs, is cool, so food is included. I find Discovery Cove really nice. If you never have done it, definitely would recommend it, especially if you like dolphins and want to swim with them. They are cute, they are well trained, but badass. Dolphins, in my opinion, are the badass animals in the world. I mean, they are sucking on pufferfish to get high and turning around this poor little fish in circles so everyone in the dolphin group can get high. I mean, dolphins are crazy. But yeah, I think water parks, this is a difficult discussion when we want to talk about inclusivity at water parks, because I think if engineers and designers and theme parks really want to, they could design an inclusive and accessible water park. But in my opinion, at this point, there just isn't. And Volcano Bay is closed in November anyway, so I am not scared and I don't need to think about it. But in March, with my annual pass, I've gone for an annual pass without Volcano Bay, because if I really want to go, I just buy a one-day ticket, but I don't see myself going. And I was so disappointed about the pool area at the Helios Grand. I was so excited, I tried not to spoil myself. I wanted to go to the Helios without seeing a single picture stuff or a single video. But I did the mistake, I did it. I spoiled myself, and I hope that in reality, being there, something will change my mind. But at the moment, I'm like, I paid nearly $800 for one night. And I think I enjoy Surfside more. I mean, this is, again, maybe you will call me crazy, but if you are just looking at the raw details, the pool area at the Helios is not that great that I was think it would like. Sarah Falls and most of the other bigger Universal resorts have a good area. Most of them has even a lazy river, but they only have one pool at the Helios and it doesn't look that great. Then you have the rooms. I mean, I will only compare accessible rooms because at the Helios I also went for an accessible room. But if you're just looking at the bare facts, and I saw videos only from the standard room, those rooms are looking small. And just looking at the numbers, I think they are square meter wise are smaller than Surfside. And yeah, I mean, I will have the shower and everything. It looks nice, but at this point, I'm like, I don't see. I mean, the theme park view. I think this is something that will sell it for me when I'm there to see Epic from my window. I think this is something I will really, really enjoy. But beside from that, you don't have the express passes, which really shocked me. I was really thinking that express passes are included, but no, they are not at the Helios. And I'm like, this is their flagship resort. Why not at least have the normal express pass, the one ride, one time for Epic? This is something I really can't understand why they didn't do it for the Helios. So your only advantage theme park wise is that you have the special entrance. And I've heard this entrance, if you are really fast, it can maybe bring you in front of the line from the other entrance part of Mario Kart. And I am like, I am not running through the theme park because from the Helios I need to run across the whole Epic Universe park to go to Super Nintendo World. So I'm not running there. And I have the AAP anyway, so I would just apply for a return time that is working for me. And yeah, if this is your only advantage theme park wise, and then say, for an example, the Hard Rock, where you have unlimited express passes and a really, really nice pool area and bigger rooms, I just don't know for what the Helios was going for. You know, I don't know what the concept behind it was. I mean, I saw pictures from the rooftop bar. I will definitely go there and have a drink. But at this point, I'm like, yeah, okay, if I wouldn't have paid for it already, I would consider canceling it. I would even considering it, but I know Jake is really excited of going and I wouldn't get a full refund at all. So I'm like, okay, then I will experience it. But I'm trying to switch the dates because at IAPA we will have the Thursday just for IAPA guests. And it's so nice because everyone from the cast members were telling me you don't need the AAP on that day because the park is empty. Because only people with IAPA credentials are allowed into Epic, and most of the people from IAPA are not interested. So the park is basically completely empty. It will be open for IAPA guests from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. and you have food and drinks included. And I was like, this will be my best night out at Epic. So I was thinking about changing my reservation for the Helios for that date, so we can have just a chill afternoon at the Helios, go to the park for those couple of hours and be back in the hotel and don't need to go on a bus back to Surfside. I mean, the good thing is, I think this is really, really good service that Surfside is still providing a shuttle service. I mean, again, it's only open for IAPA credentials, and I can't remember. I think that so many people will stay at Surfside from the IAPA, and I do think that they will combine Dockside and Surfside, so they will have an exclusive shuttle for Surfside, but they will run those buses 1 hour after park closing. And I told Jack, we will carry a lot of food with us so we have enough food for the next day. I'm that crazy. And this is another goal I have at IAPA. You have free theme park food. They are trying out all the new food that is going to the theme parks, and I will try it out, especially the nice drinks and stuff like that, and the cotton candy. all that crazy stuff. And my plan at the moment is I don't want to go on the Tuesday, on the first day of IAPA, because this is the day where all of the big announcements are happening and everyone is going to, because I am not interested in filming what is new and giving this and needing this kind of advantage to get a better view status here on YouTube. I don't care about that. I really care about the accessibility side of the IAPA. So I think I will maybe go on Wednesday for my first day at IAPA and maybe on Sunday, because especially of all of the arcade game sections and the Halloween section. Most of the exhibitors don't want to carry all the stuff back to them, so they give out all the stuff for free. And this is why I want to go to IAPA on Sunday with an empty bag and see what freebies I can just bring back with me. And yeah, I think it's a shame that IAPA at the moment, or they open it up for the public, but you need to become a member. And I saw prices between $500 and $1,000 for 1 week of IAPA. And again, if I would have paid money, especially that kind of money, I would want to spend the whole week at IAPA. But I have press credentials for free, so I think 2 days are enough. Maybe I will have so much fun and everything will be so great that I will spend every day there, but the night at Epic is definitely something I want to do. And I think it's a great thing to do. I know last year they also did Epic Universe, and I think in the past, most of the time, they choose Magic Kingdom or stuff like that. So I am quite happy that Epic is the park that is working together, and I think it's a great opportunity, and I really hope that a lot of the designers and engineers will hang out in Epic and answer all of the crazy questions I have about the coasters, not only accessible-wise, engineering-wise, because I think they are so fascinating. And when you are diving deeper and deeper into the topic and realizing what is going into the design and the engineering of one single roller coaster, because again, you need to think about capacities and stuff like that you will never ever think about the first time, or when you see a roller coaster, things you will never thought about. How many sensors are in one roller coaster to make sure everything is safe and stuff like that. And I am that crazy. I mean, certainly they communicated it before, but I was at Stardust Racer for my first time, and I was looking at the trains and I'm like, some maybe looks familiar. And I was like going to one of the cast members afterwards, by any chance, is it the flux compensator from Back to the Future that is fueling the Stardust Racer? And he was like, yeah. And let me tell you what. Now I know that you are a true nerd. I was like, okay. He was like, no one is seeing it. Maybe when someone is explaining it to them, then they will see it then, but most people will walk by. Yeah, I'm also really looking forward to the IAPA experience, because I think I wanted to go there forever. But during my Disney program, there was just no chance, because you couldn't even buy yourself in during that point of time. But then I never been in Orlando during IAPA, because it's only 1 week in November every year, and it was just a coincidence. It was a couple of weeks ago that I was just looking at when is IAPA happening, and then I realized, hey, IAPA is happening when I am there. How cool is it? So I was applying for press credentials without believing or being confident of getting credentials, because I, of course, have a press ID because of my job, but I am not working in the industry. And I only went there with, I will shoot a little bit for my broadcasting company, and I will make a documentary about accessibility in theme parks in Germany. And I think the thing that put me into IAPA was like that my company is the biggest broadcasting company in Germany. So it wouldn't be smart to reject a press confidential request from the biggest broadcasting company in Germany. And then I explained why I want the credentials. And yeah, next day they got me approved. They told me, hey, please just think about your press ID. I'm like, yeah, my press ID is always with me, no worries. And Jake, he will be my camera guy. I was like, hey, I have this disability and it's not easy for me to handle equipment. I will take no equipment with me. I will film everything with my phone, because I think this is my new iPhone at the moment. I've upgraded to the Max Pro 17, and I think you see lights are on, not good light quality, and I think the image quality is good enough. So I don't want to carry heavy equipment with me. But yeah, this was the reason why I got Jake approved as well. But I think, I don't know how hard it is in reality to get approved for IAPA, because I know that they are approving quite a lot of content creators, but see the numbers, how many people watch those videos, it's not much. It's not much, because I think IAPA is such a small niche, only for people that are obsessed with theme parks. I think, yeah, it looks like we are a lot on YouTube and stuff like that, but I don't think that we are that many people. And I don't know how hard it is in reality to get to IAPA. Maybe it's not that hard. Maybe if I would apply for this channel, they would get me approved. I don't know, but I got approved because of I'm trying, or I want to shoot as well for my broadcasting company. And then there were other questions at IAPA. I mean, at Universal, I talked to them. I'm like, hey, I want to take my foldable crutches with me. Is it okay? Because I know my airline is going bonkers because of them. I was arguing so hard with Lufthansa, so incredibly hard, because it's okay to take them with me, but I need to give them to the flight attendant, because I could use them to make damage inside of the aircraft. I mean, you should not talk about it, but I was like, if you really want to, you have a suitcase, you have the kitchen, you have a fire extinguisher. I think my foldable crutches would be the last choice, to be honest. But hey, they really made a mess, and I was just like, at this point, I'm like, maybe I just should check them in and avoid this discussion in total. But if they get lost, I have a problem. So I will have the discussion with Lufthansa and ask Universal the same question. They were like, of course you can take them with you. Why ask this question? This is, you need them. You need an accessible item. You are on the AAP. Of course, you can bring everything with you that you need for medical reasons. And I asked now the question to IAPA. I don't think that it will be a problem to take the crutches with me to IAPA. But this is, at the moment, I think I am looking to rent an e-scooter for that day. Because I was looking videos from the last couple of years. I didn't see any benches. Not a single place to sit down. And when I'm thinking about conventions, I was a lot on conventions in my youth, on book conventions and stuff like that. Our book conventions in Leipzig and Frankfurt. There usually are not places to sit down at those convention centers. And everything I saw from the MCO convention center, I don't know if there were any benches. So this is something, maybe we will go on Tuesday and see, hey, I need something like this on Wednesday, and then I will rent it for another day, because this would destroy my IAPA experience if I'm not prepared for stuff like that. So I'm trying to get prepared, because it would be a shame. And I was never inside of the the Orlando Convention Center, but I walked past by it a couple of times, walked around it once. It's huge. And I saw YouTube videos from last year where I was like, I'm making notes, because I, with my disability and my pain level, can't afford to make this mistake. Because you can't grab your press credentials at every location there. You only can grab your press credentials at the south entrance. And most people, because all the signage, everything is telling them to go to the north entrance. And what this means in reality is walking outside the entire convention center to get to the other entrance. And I'm not doing that. Then we were thinking about what is the best way of going there. My first intention was the Lynx bus, because it's only $2 go down International Drive, stopping directly in front of Surfside. But we need to have a look where the bus stop is located. The plan is to pick up our credentials on Monday, when IAPA is not even open yet, just to have them and don't stand in line on a day we want to go. So then we can figure out where the bus station is located, because otherwise it's just insane to walk around the whole convention center just to go to the other entrance. I also know that there is a huge outdoor area, but all of that stuff is something I'm not interested in. It's like inflatable jumping stuff and trampolines. I mean, this is something I just can't explain to my insurance company. Just imagine I'm going to IAPA, going on a trampoline and hurting my damaged foot. And I'm explaining that to your insurance company. What the heck were you thinking about jumping on a trampoline? You destroyed your foot on a trampoline. This is not a discussion I want to have. So if Jake wants to go, he can use his phone and maybe take some footage for you guys, but I am not that interested in all of the outdoor stuff that is going on, because again, it's a convention. It's not a let's have fun thing. Those people want to sell their products, and I'm just not. It's just nothing that interested me how expensive one of those inflatables are. And I don't need to talk to those people who are designing them. Maybe if Jake just wants to hop on and jump on one of those inflatables, good for him. I will sit inside air conditioning and eat something, I don't know. But one thing I am really excited about is also the arcade game section, because you can try out all of the new arcade games, the claw machines and stuff like that. And I can see me spending there half a day at least, having fun with all the arcade games. And then even there, I'm like, I will look at it from an accessible point of view, because I was shooting with a wheelchair user at a Christmas market here in Germany, and realized all of the carnival games are not accessible for someone in a wheelchair. And I find this realization really sad. And this is something I'm really interested in IAPA. Are they even thinking about that someone could want to go to an arcade who has special needs? How inclusive and accessible in so many ways are those arcade machines these days? Of course, I will also have fun playing them, but these are also the questions I want to ask, because I think not many people are thinking about that kind of stuff. And yeah, it would be nice just to see how the entertainment industry in total is just approaching this topic in the future. And again, this is a Jake thing, because we talked about how easy I got scared. I am not going into the Halloween section. There's just no chance. I mean, they don't need to have scare actors there. They just need to have a puppet and sound effects. and I would get jump scared, scream, and hurt someone. So this is another section where Jake can just go around and film. So I have a little bit of footage, but I am not interested in this kind of section. In the last area you will have is, of course, the food sections with all the food that is now new in the theme parks, new stuff and blah, blah, blah. This is something I'm looking forward to. And then you have, of course, all of the engineering designers, all of the roller coaster designers. And this is the part of IAPA I am really looking forward to talk to all of those people. And most of the time they even have stuff you can test out, really small coasters, indoor coasters, the new VR technique. And this is another thing I really want to talk about and see what is happening, because VR is nearly completely vanished from the theme parks. This was no future, because on the one hand I could see it that VR could have replaced all of the crappy screens in motion simulating stuff. But I don't know why, and this is a question I definitely want to ask. Why was it not successful? I mean, even at SeaWorld, I think Quaken it was, they had the VR coaster, the VR headset. And at one point they got rid of it. I mean, when I was there the last time, it was broken, and I was like, I don't mind, I don't need to. But again, just rolling back, if it's possible to secure the VR headset for Quaken, for an example, then it's definitely possible to secure those headphones. There is just no way an engineer can tell me, yeah, it's easy to install those VR headsets, but a normal headset is not safe. Then we will have a discussion. Then he really needs to explain in detail to me why it is so. And there again, you had the spaces where you can put the VR sets, and when a seat was empty, they were still secured without falling out and stuff like that. So why not use this technique and how they secured those VR headsets in those coasters and install 2 seats in each vehicle, or maybe 2 seats in the whole attraction with headsets for people with special needs. I don't think you need that much more. This is something that is just not realistic, that you have an entire train of autistic people and that you have more than 2 people in one train at one time. So just have one wide vehicle with those 2 access things, and yeah, I just can't see something that is avoiding this technique from becoming reality. And again, then I just want to know why those VR coasters haven't worked out. Was it a maintenance issue? Because again, especially in Florida, there was weather going on, wind, and humanity. Maybe this was not sustainable for the technique. Or was it that the guests were not liking them? I did a VR coaster once in Europa Park. It was Valerian design, like the sci-fi movie. And I didn't like it. I got a little bit motion sick, but not that bad. This was not the reason. It was just meh. It wasn't a new experience, or an experience where I was like, wow, this is something new. I really want to do it again. I mean, you needed to pay, I think it was 10 euros extra. So it was a pay off. So I think the main mindset was, this was just not worth the extra money. But I can see why they needed the extra money, because they needed to redesign the entire coaster and redesign the whole process, install these VR sets. Yeah, it's money. I can understand why, but this was not a ground-breaking technique, this VR set. But it's interesting how it's nearly completely vanished from the theme park industry. This is definitely something I want to ask, if they are working on something new, something better, because I think it has potential. but I think we are technically not there yet to make it a really good thing. I think we need to improve technology to make VR coasters better and more approachable. So this is definitely a thing I am really looking forward at IAPA. Most of the times, I think at Dollywood, it was last year, they had a new attraction at Dollywood, and Meg had a huge reveal with the owner of Dollywood, and it was a really, really big deal going on. I mean, if you guys are interested in seeing stuff like that, I am not, but I know Jake is, then I can always send Jake to this kind of stuff, because I mean, this is a good thing. Again, I have media credentials. I have access to everything I want at this convention. I can schedule interviews with everyone from this industry that is there. I'm really looking forward to it, because this is something I will do when they have will open up the booking for us media stuff, because I saw someone I am desperate to meet. This is someone or some industry, some company I really want to talk about and or talk with, and it's Veta Workshops. It's the designers from Lord of the Rings, the company from Peter Jackson, who did the old Lord of the Rings movies, all of the special effects stuff, basically. And they are at IAPA. And this is definitely a company I am so excited to meet, network with, and connect with, because Lord of the Rings is my favorite book of all time. I've read it so many times. I was in Oxford and standing at Tolkien's grave. Lord of the Rings is really close. Don't talk Rings of Power with me, because I will cry, because the last thing from the new season I've heard is that they are shipping against Sauron and Galadriel, and I'm like, don't. I don't want to talk about Rings of Power. But again, Vita Workshops is definitely a company I am really looking forward, because they did crazy stuff. And imagine them doing the theming for a theme park attraction. And I know that they are doing it for effect for a few things. Imagine Veta Workshops teaming up with Universal for a Lord of the Rings attraction, and I heard things in the background. Universal UK will maybe get a Lord of the Rings section. This would be awesome and epic at the same time. I mean, Universal UK for me would be epic and easy to access, and having a Lord of the Rings section would be one of the coolest things ever. This would be my Harry Potter, because Lord of the Rings, again, is something I am obsessed with. So it's cool to see that people like Veta Workshops is at IAPA. And this would also be a dream come true. Just imagine hanging out with those kind of people at Epic Universe on the evening event. This is just, yeah. I really need to print business cards for networking, because I think if I really set it up right, I can meet sick people at IAPA that can be helpful in the future of the channel. And I don't know if everyone who's watching at the moment knows about the petition that Amber and I are working on. So I made a video yesterday. There was a link underneath the video. Please sign if you also agree that Universal could maybe open up one of the parks for a couple of hours each year, just for people of that have access to the AAP. So this would be a day where Universal is turning down the music, the sound effects, smells, and everything for people on the spectrum and people that are easily getting overstimulated. And they would slow down all of the boarding process of the ride attractions for people like me that need extra time. And I think they are making so many special events and opening up the park for so many events. I mean, I think the main problem is to convince Universal to do it without someone sponsoring. Maybe at IAPA, for an example, I can find people who are like, yeah, this is something we really would like to sponsor. Again, I want to talk to Make-A-Wish and Merlin, and not Merlin, Special Olympics. Maybe they will jump into the boat and donate something or help us set up. But I opened up the petition, and I think when we have between 500 and 1,000 signatures, I will reach out to Universal and talk to them about it. Maybe they are thinking the idea is good and doing it without all of the sponsoring stuff. And I mean, I'm not asking for closing all 3 theme parks for an entire weekend. I'm, for the beginning, talking about close 1 park for a couple of hours to test it out, to see if people would come, if people want to. I think this would be a good beginning, and we need to convince Universal to do so, because I think a lot of people would benefit. And a lot of people who will not consider going to Universal would come. I'm not talking about we want to access the parks for free. I'm talking about all of us have normal tickets, but you only can enter on that kind of day when you have an AAP connected to your account. So no cheating. Maybe the people that are connected to your AAP accounts, so friends and family, can also come, because this would just, on the other hand, be a nightmare. If you, for an example, Amber, just your girls can go to the park, this just would not work out. So everyone that is connected to the AAP accounts. I think it's a great idea. I really hope that we can make something like that work, because I really want to see changes in this industry. And we talked a lot about Epic, and I don't think that Universal did all of those faults on purpose, because every time I talked about those problems, especially my favorite topic, the bus loop at Epic, they didn't realize it. And Megan, the manager from Surfside, was at the exact same moment coming up to me, and she was like, and please add that we don't have any good benches here at the bus stop at Surfside. We need benches. So many guests were asking for them, but the problem is the guests are asking the manager, and if Megan is going to Universal Management, they don't give a shit. I mean, she has also, for an example, the AAP, she has also a fused foot, so she knows exactly our needs. I think this is the reason why I connected so good with her. And she's just like, I can talk as much as I want, but Universal just don't listen and don't care. But if enough guests are complaining about the exact same problem, Universal will care. So please talk to everyone and tell everyone you know. That is always helpful to write to guest services after your visit. Make notes. You're allowed to take pictures of every cast member's name tag. Make sure to remember their names, and make a list, make notes on what can be improved. Make notes on what you see that is not working, like an example that there's no ramp in the loops in front of the fountains, and I think this is just ridiculous. When they would have designed it that way and built it that way, it would have cost them nothing extra, no single cent extra. And just imagine now if they want to add this ramp. It's crazy. I mean, I think technically it's still possible to just get maybe just one section accessible, but they need to close the area for at least a couple of days, weeks, and do a lot of work. And the most of this work they can only do at night, because this kind of work is nothing that would go on when Universal parks are operating. The other solution would be putting up an immense wall, and this would at the same time ruin the view for all the guests in the Helios Grand, so I don't think Universal would go with this choice either. And of course you wouldn't be able to see the Helios Grand from a theme point of view. So I don't think Universal can or is willing to add this ramp, because you will not have the view from the Helios. I mean, they are making a shit ton of money for the extra money of the theme park view. I think it cost me at least $100 extra to pay for a theme park view at the Helios. You will lose basically all of that money, because if they would put up an immense wall in front of my hotel room, which I paid extra for, I would complain. And I think everyone would complain. So this is not a solution. So, and Epic has crazy opening hours. So you would basically only be able to work between 10 p.m. and I think early admission is at 8 or 9. I think 8. I think, or 9. 9. Islands is 8, 9. It's at 9. But it's early in this long opening hours, so you don't have that much time to change. And it's not an attraction which you would easier be able to fix, especially indoor attractions. Just put it off, say it's on maintenance, and you can work indoors. But this fountain situation is nothing they can fix easy. And this is a perfect example for, please involve accessible experts or people with real disabilities before you're building stuff like that. And this could also be I mean, Universal has the creator program and stuff like that. They could also easily have an accessible program where they have a handful of accessible fans of their theme parks they can use to test out new inventions accessibility wise with a real feedback before opening it up. Because again, at Epic there could have been a lot of different choices if someone would have told them so. I don't think, as I said, I don't think they made all of those design choices because they wanted to annoy the heck out of us. They made them because they were not watching and looking at the problems from our point of view. And if they would start to add people like us into this process, I think things could change more efficient. As Amber, as you said, with the toilet situation, this solution would be such an easy fit. It would be such an easy fit to add those kind of stuff. But if no one is showing the problem and mention it to Universal, I mean, it's a company after all. They want to make money. If they don't need to invest something, they will not. And then there is the next thing. You always need to convince them that they are doing it accessibility wise, that they can make money out of it because they can call themselves accessible theme park. It's the same we talked in the past about. I don't know why they are not going for an autistic certified center. I know Kennedy Space Center is, and I know Discovery Cove is. And the only difference I saw, maybe the cast members that are trained differently at Kennedy Space Center, definitely not. They are not trained at disabilities at all, at my experience. But the only thing I saw autism-wise or accessible-wise was like at Kennedy Space Center, in front of every room and attraction, they have stickers on which senses are getting activated and how much they are getting activated. And this would also be, for you girls and for you as a parent, a perfect help in deciding this attraction can work and this not. If you see an attraction where every sense is triggered on the highest level, you will definitely not even try to enter the waiting line. But if you see something that is maybe triggering something that is not relevant to your girls. You are considering at least in trying it out. And this would be so easy to add to all of the attractions. And another thing is, I don't think the future is just having the signs up. I think the future is LED screens where you easily can also add new informations. I know after the Stardust Racer incident, I mean, at this point there are so many warning signs in front of this roller coaster, and they needed to add so many things after this incident to be able to open it up again. So yeah, this would be an easier fix just if they would have screens and just would be able to add them and add all of the new informations. And the next thing is, I think the cast members are trained well enough, but there is always, especially I think with autism and stuff like this, room for improvement. And as we talked in the beginning, there needs to be something we can add or something that need to change, so we don't need to ask the same question and the same help every time we are going to the parks and for hours again and over again. I made the idea of a symbol so cast members see directly I have a hidden disability, and there were so many arguments going on with it. I'm still convinced that is a good idea because a lot of cast members told me so, that they would really appreciate it. Have a pin, maybe toothless, use this a tail, get rid of the skull, put a white cross inside of it. No one around you will know that it is there. They will maybe say, oh, what a nice pin you have, blah, blah, blah. And we, people with hidden disabilities, are deciding by ourselves if we want to wear them. And if we wear them, the cast member know exactly that we need special help with certain things. And I think, how could you abuse it? Because you will not get anything for free. You will not get special treatment because you still need to have the AAP active on your account. So why not try something like this out? And again, even the AAP, we talked about it. I can understand why it's not that widely known, but I don't think it's good. And maybe this is another thing that Universal is considering and maybe declining our request, because this would put the AAP in a spotlight. So maybe we need to figure something out and just say people with special needs or stuff like that, because in my opinion, Universal don't want to talk about the AAP that much. I don't know why. I can only imagine why, because they see what is happening at Disney, and the same is going. I have not doing more research about it. I don't follow it up, but there was the idea of Disney banning live streaming completely in the parks. Again, they could easily do so. They're setting the rules. You are entering their private property, so they can say whatever they want and make you do whatever you want. And you can have two choices. You comply with it and enter the park, or you say, no, I don't want to comply with it. You're not entering the park. And I can definitely see the mindset why they want to ban the live streams, because it's the same with the selfie sticks back in the days. People don't have spatial awareness, were annoying everyone else around them, bumping into people, don't pay attention to their surroundings. And the same is happening with the live streams. Especially during fireworks and parades, they will stand in front of a small children holding up their phones so no one behind them can see a thing. And then you have the part when you reach monetization on YouTube, you will earn money during the live streams, or you can earn money. So this is something that is not allowed now at the theme park. So technically, basically, you are not allowed to live stream when you are really sticking to the rules, because you are not allowed to do commercial stuff without a permission. And you are earning money with a live stream. So technically, you are not allowed to do a live stream. But I think this is not the reason why they wanted to ban it. It's the reason because people are just annoying other people and are rude to other guests. And then you have the privacy concern. Not everyone wants to get filmed. If I, for an example, film for a video and someone is coming up and telling me, hey, I don't want to be there, I saw you are filming, I can delete the footage, I'm done. But on a live stream, when you were live, you can't edit out this section for that moment in time. You can edit out afterwards, but you can't edit out at this moment. So damage is done. And then you have the aspect you see in the Disney outlets that people are just standing in the way, offering shopping experience, live shopping, buying up stuff in bulk that everyone else also wanted, and nothing is left for the other people. And yeah, I think it's just annoying as heck, especially for the cast members who needs to deal with it on a daily basis. And then you have the YouTubers that are going in the shops and filming every single item in the shops and calling out the prices. And yeah, as a cast member, I would be so hecking annoyed out of it. But yeah, I think if Disney is really considering doing it and going with it, Universal will follow. I don't think that Universal is saying, hey, all of the live streamers can come to Universal. I don't think that that would be the case. Because at Universal, especially at the Dragon Show, I know you are allowed, I think, to take pictures. But it definitely says no videos. And then just look on YouTube how many videos you will have from the entire show, especially the section where Toothless is flying by. If Universal really wants to, they can just get rid of all of them and give everyone a strike on YouTube. Universal is dealing quite nice with stuff like that. I did upload a video from the Fountain Show, and I don't get a strike from Universal. I was only banned for monetizing this video if I get monetized on Facebook, on YouTube. So I would not be able to make money with the views of this video because the music is copyright owned by Universal, but Universal is not deciding to give me a copyright strike. So I think Universal is really, really nice when it comes to things like this. Disney is really, really easy getting you banned when you are posting too much stuff like that. I think there should always be a balance, especially with content creators. I mean, when content creators are annoying as heck and not playing to the rules, you need to react. But most content creators are really, really nice and really just want to show their experience. And then you just should see it as a free commercial. I think this is the best way to describe it. And I just watched how long we are talked again today. You see my voice is nearly done for today. I think it's enough. 3 hours. I will come back maybe tomorrow or in the latest on Friday for my next live stream. So I hope everyone will have a nice, for me it's evening, for you it's a nice day. And I hope we will see each other tomorrow or next week.